Amma start amma.
Om sarvebhyo namaskaraः. प्रथमं प्रार्थनां कृत्वा अस्माकं कार्यक्रमम् आरम्भं कुर्मः. ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्. ॐ श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः. ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. ॐ प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्र्यवतु. ॐ श्री महासरस्वत्यै नमः. ॐ मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव आचार्य देवो भव अतिथि देवो भव. सदाशिवसमारम्भां व्यासशङ्करमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. अद्य अस्माकं वेद संस्कृति समित्याः सप्तषष्टितमः प्रसङ्गं प्रचलति. अद्य वेद संस्कृति समिति अद्य पर्यन्तं षट्षष्टितमः वेबिनार् निर्वहणं कृत्वा अद्य सप्तषष्टितम प्रसङ्गे साधारणतः प्रति वेबिनार् मध्ये एकः प्रमुखः वक्ता प्रसङ्गं करोति. परन्तु अद्य विशेषः, अद्य वयं द्वे प्रसङ्गे श्रुत्वा आनन्दं प्राप्नुमः. डॉक्टर CSR प्रभु महोदयः सैन्स् एंड मैनेजमेंट इन भगवद्गीता इति अंशं स्वीकृत्य प्रथम द्वितीय द्वे भागविवरणं कृतवन्तः. अद्य एतदेव अंशस्य तृतीय भागं प्रवचनं कुर्वन्ति. तत् प्रसङ्गारम्भात् पूर्वतः एव वयम् अधुना श्रीमती अखिलायाः प्रसङ्गम् अपि भगवद्गीतां पुरस्कृत्य किञ्चित् प्रसङ्गं प्रचलति. अस्माकं वेद संस्कृत समित्याः उपाध्यक्षा श्रीमती ललिताजी अद्य वक्तायाः श्रीमती अखिलायाः परिचयं करोति. डॉक्टर CSR प्रभु महोदयः अस्माकं वेद संस्कृति समित्याः मध्ये वेबिनार् मध्ये बहु अंशानि स्वीकृत्य अवधूत गीतम् इति अंशं कर्म सिद्धान्तम् अधिकृत्य योग सिद्धान्तं योग सिद्धान्ते हठयोगम् अधिकृत्य बहु अंशानि स्वीकृत्य अद्य पर्यन्तं बहूनि उपन्यासानि दत्तवन्तः. अद्य भगवद्गीतायाः सैन्स् एंड मैनेजमेंट इन भगवद्गीता इति अंशस्य अपि विवरणं कुर्वन्ति. परन्तु प्रथमतः श्रीमती ललिता देवी अद्य वक्तायाः श्रीमती अखिलायाः परिचयं करोति. सो अखिलायाः परिचयं करोतु इति ललिताम् आह्वयामि. ललिता जी.
धन्यवादः माताजी. सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः. ఈ రోజు today's seminar I will just tell in English. The speaker of today's seminar from Veda Samskruti Samiti is Srimati Akhila Jairaman. As we are told, the speaker is a teacher of Bhagavad-gita. Why specifically we had mentioned that basically she is a South Indian from Tamil Nadu, but she is residing in Kolkata with her and she is part of Chinmaya mission also. With that background, Akhila ji has really tutored Bhagavad-gita in almost 15 schools. She is a teacher She is teaching Bhagavad Gita from 5th standard students up to 10th standard students. And for the past 20 years, she has been in this stream through Chinmaya Mission and also through other platforms, teaching Bhagavad Gita even to the elders. Not only that, she teaches the children in play homes also about the daily prayers, all our Hindu slokas, stotrams, all that, chantings, prayers, everything she is teaching children to adults. In her lifespan, it is really remarkable to know that so far she has trained not less than 5,000 people in Bhagavad Gita. And very recently, for the past 1.5 to 2 years, she is with Gita Parivar, where really 3.5 4 lakh people have got trained in Bhagavad Gita. There she has trained not less than 1,000 to 2,000 people. And she is an examiner also, conducting exams in Bhagavad Gita. And she conducts competitions in all the schools. She conducts the competitions in Bhagavad Gita. And also, she does this across the state in many schools, in all central syllabus schools and other schools also. We all were discussing how we are not finding the schools where they are teaching Bhagavad Gita to children, where they are not teaching Hindu prayers to children. But in Kolkata, this is all happening. So we wanted, through Veda Samskruti Samiti, we wanted everybody to know that this is happening in our neighboring state within our country. So that is the reason we invited Srimati Akila Jairaman Garu, in spite of her busy schedules. At 4:30, she has another class. She has made this time to come and share her experiences, practical experiences with all of us. And now she is also a coordinator for teaching Vishnu Sahasranamam. She does that with Lalita Sahasranamam, all our Hindu slokas, stotrams, everything, they are teaching. So this is all an experience by itself, practical experience. So now I request Srimati Akila Garu, a divine, I can say that she has been acknowledged everywhere with a worshipful attitude because of her nature, divine nature. And she has agreed and come to our, this one also, to our workshop. I request her to really take the podium and start addressing, sharing her very divine experiences of teaching Bhagavad Gita to all of us, to all the audience here who are very eagerly waiting to hear from her. I welcome Srimati Akila Jairaman Garu on behalf of Veda Samskruti Samiti, our President Sri Akela Prabhakar Rao Garu, and our Upadhyakshara Dr. Vishalakshi Garu, and all other board members, Dr. Karnalji and our board members, and also all the audience, Dr. CSR Prabhu, who is also our August speaker, who will join very soon. I welcome him also, and also I welcome all of you to just be a part of this very August gathering today and our August session today. Yeah. Didi, Akila Didi, please take over the podium and start this conversation.
Thank you, Lalita ji. Thank you so much. Vasudeva Sutan Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. First of all, I would like to thank Samskrita Bharati, Veda Samskrita Sabha of Hyderabad. I would like to thank all the members who has invited me for this function to take part in share my experience of how to teach Bhagavad Gita. I would like to thank Lalita ji because the Gita Parivar, we both are in Gita Parivar. Luckily, I have a chance to meet her during exam time. So I'd like to thank Lalita ji and all the members of this Samskriti Seva thing. So actually, she asked me to share my experience of teaching Bhagavad Gita. And we started this Bhagavad Gita chanting through our Chinmaya mission only. First of in Chinmaya mission, we are taking Balavihar classes for the children of age 5 years to 4 years to 13 years. We have a Balavihar section in that Chinmaya mission. After 13 years also, we have youth club also there in Chinmaya mission. So this for the Balavihar children, we are teaching our culture, Indian culture, our Sanadana Dharma for the children, because nowadays the children needs all these things. So we are teaching them this our Indian culture, how we are doing the festivals and what is connected with that festival and what are the symbols of festivals and what is the necessity of festival. Like that we are teaching the children. Through this only we are teaching them Bhagavad Gita. For the age group of children, 5 to, we just started this Bhagavad Gita chanting through Chinmaya mission. First, we approached the principal of the schools and we invited them for a workshop in our Chinmaya mission. So in that workshop, we have explained how to teach Bhagavad Gita and what is the necessity of Bhagavad Gita for the children and all. So in that we do workshop usually once in a year. We invite all the coordinators, principals of the schools and have a workshop about Bhagavad Gita and all. And then we introduce Bhagavad Gita in the school. So first we introduce this Bhagavad Gita in the school with the competition. First 2-3 years, we have introduced the competition for the children of age group from 5 to 15 years. In that, we took only particular one chapter of the year. So during the competition, the teachers, the principal invited us to teach the children. Like that, we have started teaching the Bhagavad Gita in the school. And nowadays, for the past 5 years in some schools, they are having it in academic in that regular academic classes. They are giving us 2 periods per day. That is 4 to 5 periods for us to teach the children in Bhagavad Gita. So how we teach Bhagavad Gita in the schools and all. So the children are very what you call, they are asking so many questions and all, why we do that, why are doing this and all. So for that, what we do for the children of age group from 5 to 7 years, we will say some stories or we play games with them. Through games and through stories, we'll introduce that Bhagavad Gita chanting. So how first we do story. Relating to that story, we say Bhagavad Gita is like that. So in that story also, this we are doing like that. Like that, we introduce Bhagavad Gita for the children. And for the children of above higher classes, we will do them some activities, and then we have group interaction with the children and all. Like that, we are teaching that Bhagavad Gita. So small children, we used to sing some songs like "Come here, my dear Krishna Kanai, Maine tere liye hriday andar building banai." Like that, we say the children that, see Krishna, we are building home for our Krishna. Like that, Krishna is also want us to give something for us. So in that way, he has given us some slokas, that is a divine sloka. So now we are going to learn this divine sloka and all. Like that, we are interacting with the small children. And slowly we are teaching them the Bhagavad Gita. One day we can do only 2 slokas because the children are so small. Like that, we are doing, supposing if we take 1 chapter per year. So they are giving in the schools, they are giving 2 days in a week. So in that 2 days, we can teach them 3 to 5 slokas only. And then next class, again, we'll revise that 5 slokas. And then again, we start a new slokas. Like that, we are teaching them the portions, the portion which we are doing for the competition. We'll complete that full portion. Supposing if it is chapter 15. So chapter 15, we are having only 20 shlokas. So that 20 shlokas, we teach them full 20 shlokas, and then we will have a revision section for the 20 shlokas, and then we select the children for competition. But in big chapters, like the first chapter, we have 43 shlokas, third chapter, we have 43 shlokas, like that. In that shlokas, we will divide the shlokas into groups. That is, if the children are 4 to 6 years, we will give them 10 shlokas first. And then above 6 years to 10 years, we will give them 15 shlokas. And then higher classes, we will give them the full chapter. Like that, we will divide the chapter into 3-4 parts and teach them. And then they feel it is easy to learn 10 shlokas first and then 15 shlokas. Like that, we are introducing Gita chanting in all the schools. And nowadays, some schools in the Sanskrit teachers, because they have attended our workshop and all, so they are taking interest to teach their children of their own school children. So they have taken the responsibility of teaching the children for Bhagavad Gita competition. Some schools, every year, they are participating in the Gita chanting competition. So that particular chapter, they are teaching their school children. But in the Andhra Association School in Kolkata and National High School, these schools, they are having it in a regular academic period. So we are teaching them Bhagavad Gita like that. And in that Bhagavad Gita, in the class, to make them to get interest in the Bhagavad Gita, so we'll ask them to make some drawings and all. Supposing if during the class period, if any festival is coming, so we will, because today is also an auspicious day of Vasanta Panchami, Saraswati Puja. So in Bengal, Saraswati Puja is famous. So everyone is celebrating the Saraswati Puja. So if some festival is coming in teaching Bhagavad Gita, so first what we do is we say the significance of the puja. Supposing today is Saraswati Puja. So we ask them to show a Saraswati. We show them a Saraswati Puja picture for the small children, and then explain them what is that, what is in her hand, and which she is sitting, and what color of sari she is wearing, and also the significance of sari, and what she is having in her hand, what it responding, and all. So all these significance, if we say the children know, they are getting interest to know the details. And during that festival, they also explain that parents also see these are the significance of the children our teacher told, and also we are going to celebrate and this. So they themselves getting interest in doing all these things to like puja and all. And next day they will come and told me that, ma'am, we are celebrated this function in our house also, like that. So this way we are giving interest to the children to get more and more interact. If you do more and more interaction with the children, then only they will come to know about the come and take part in the Bhagavad Gita competition. So, and next thing is, we teach the slokas because some spiritual organizations in Kolkata also, they are introduced sloka chanting competition. So for the small children, we are teaching them the daily prayers like Karagre Vasate, and before taking bath, before taking meals, and before like that small slokas we will introduce. And then we start the Bhagavad Gita, because immediately if you start with the Bhagavad Gita, they don't know how to pronounce, how to do, and that. So if you start with the small slokas and then go for Gita chanting, then they will take interest to learn Bhagavad Gita. So for Bhagavad Gita, first you introduce, if you introduce Bhagavad Gita, you should say the story of Mahabharata and all. So then only they come to know. So during this Mahabharata war, how this yuddha, how this battle came and all, why it come. These are all the things we have to tell them initially. Then only they will understand. So this is Bhagavad Gita. So we have to learn like that. Regarding that, each and every chapter we have to connect it with the stories. So like Bhakti Yoga, if 12th chapter, if we are taking 12th chapter Bhakti Yoga, then you have to say some story like Hanuman. See how he is Bhakta of Rama. Rama Bhakta Hanuman. So if you say the story of Hanuman, the children will also get interest, because Hanuman, if Hanuman, you can say Hanuman is very Veera Hanuman, Bala Hanuman. Balaveera Hanuman, like that. We can sing some a song like Veera Hanumana Bhade Baluvana Rama Rama Rasiyare, like that. If you interact them with the bhajan and all, and you say, see how Rama Hanuman is very devoted to Rama, like that Arjuna is also very devoted to Krishna. So Krishna is giving everything to Arjuna, that is we are also Arjuna. So we are getting good things from Krishna. So now we are going to learn that Bhagavad Gita to help us in our life. Like that we are connected we are connecting the Gita chapter with the story and all, and teach the children, then they will get interest to learn Bhagavad Gita. And once in a year we'll do some workshop for the children also in school, how to do all these things. In that workshop we will introduce some our spiritual activities also, and we'll take part, and the teachers also take part in that workshop. Once in a year regarding that Bhagavad Gita, we'll do some workshop and all. Like that we have developed the Gita chanting classes in schools. These are all the things we are doing. So if you want to ask anything, you can ask me.
Didi, Akila Didi, you can also tell about the Vishnu Sahasranamam and
Yeah,
other things
Vishnu
we'll do.
Sahasranam actually
Afterwards, we'll
was,
interact.
yeah. And actually we are having that in Chinmaya mission also, we are learning that shlokas also, like all Shankaracharya shlokas, like Shiva Panchaksharam, Lingashtakam, Dakshinamurti Sostram, Saraswati Sostram, and Guru Ashtakam, Guru Padaka Sostram. Each and every shlokas we are teaching the children. During Guru Purnima, we will teach the children Guru Ashtakam or Guru Sostram, like Guru Brahma, Akanda Mandalakaram. This Guru Sostram also we will teach the children. And during Saraswati Puja and Navaratri, we will teach them the Lakshmi Ashtakam, Saraswati Ashtakam, Durga Ashtakam. These are all the slokas we are teaching. And actually I have connected with the Vishwas Institute of Vishnu Sahasranamam. We have done Vishnu Sahasranamam there. And every Saturday we are doing that satsang. That is, we are having 30 to 35 people in our group. Every Saturday we do Vishnu Sahasranamam for 1 hour from the beginning to end. That is Dhyana Shloka, from Purvangam, Dhyana Shloka, and then main Vishnu Sahasranama, 108 shlokas, and then we do Purvangam and all. This 30 people, we will allot the shlokas to each and everyone. So sometimes 5, sometimes 6. If suppose somebody is having a problem on that day, so we will recite the shloka of the absentees and all. Like that, we every Saturday we are doing the Vishnu Sahasranam also. And once in a year, every new year, we used to do Vishnu Sahasranama Archana. And for that, we invite all the schools. In Chinmaya mission, we are doing Vishnu Sahasranama every new year. So we invite all the school children, teachers, and parents to take part in that Vishnu Sahasranamam, and we provide all the puja materials and all, and books also. So they are very eagerly come and do that puja. Nowadays we are for the past 2 years, because of pandemic, we do with in online only. For that also, so many people participated in that Vishnu Sahasranama. These are all the things we are doing for the children and the school people and for the parents and all. Like that, we are connected with all the schools. Nowadays, this time we got around 15 schools participated in the Gita chanting competition. Every year we do this competition between November and December. So for that, we will provide the syllabus like that. This year we did chapter 2. Chapter 2 we divided into 2 parts. Last year we did the first half, and this year we did the second half. So 1 to 39 shlokas we did last year, and 39 to 78 we did this year. For this year also, during that competition, some school they invited us to teach the children. But in Andhra schools and national schools, every day we used to go for 2 periods in 2 days in a week and teach the children, and they took part in the competition. Actually, we started this Gita chanting through competition only. First 2-3 years, the schools participated in the Gita chanting competition, and we used to go and teach them. And the children got prizes and all. So we give them cash prize, medals and all. So they got interested, and then nowadays they make it as a regular period and all. So like that, we got the schools to take part in Gita chanting competition. And in Gita Parivar also, I'm so happy. I'm very lucky that they have selected me as a trainer. I have joined Gita Parivar in 2020. Now from May 2021, I've been the trainer for Gita Parivar. I'm teaching in Tamil only because my mother tongue is Tamil. So many people from all over world, the people are connected in Gita Parivar. So they are very much interested in learning Gita, Bhagavad Gita. It makes us very, I don't know what to say. It's a very, actually, I'm very lucky to be a part of that Gita Parivar. That is why I got connected with Lalita ji, and she make me, she asked me to speak all these things about this. So I'm very happy, and I'm very thankful to Lalita ji and Gita Parivar and Chinmaya Mission. And I'm very, very thank you to all the Samskruti Seva of Hyderabad for giving me the opportunity, that also in this auspicious day on Saraswati Puja. So I'm very, very happy and thankful to all of you. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Didi, we should say thanks to you. I think some of them would like to interact. I think Kalaka,
Yeah.
would you like to say something? Kalaka, you have raised some question. You can ask now.
Yeah.
Namaskaram, Amma.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
You were talking about the schools that are participating. I just wanted to know how many schools are part of this program.
Actually, this year we got about 15 schools participated in our Gita chanting competition. This competition was introduced by Chinmaya Mission only. So we are doing voluntary service for Chinmaya Mission, and we are going to teach the children this Bhagavad Gita. Only chanting is not essential, not enough for the children. No, so we have to interact them with an activity, games, and bhajans also. Sometimes I teach bhajan also for the children, and we do some games also like that. In that particular chapter, what we are doing related to that particular chapter, I will say some story about that. Then only they get interest to learn Bhagavad Gita. So this is the way we are making interest to the children.
I had one more question.
Yes.
Are all the children, all of them are only Hindu?
No. Actually, in Kolkata, we have Bengali, Bihari, Gujarati, Marwadi. So many are there, no? In school, it is not only Andhra. Its name itself is Andhra Association School. But you very few Telugu people are there. Others are Odia, Bengali, Bihari. These children are learning Bhagavad Gita is very, very it's a God's gift, because Badiya people and Bihari people, they could not pronounce that Sanskrit shloka properly, but they are learning all this Bhagavad Gita is very, very God's gifted for the children.
Actually, Odiyas, nowadays you will find them in Veda Pathashalas big time.
Yeah, yeah. Now
Uh,
they are, yes, yes. Now they are,
they are becoming teachers, and I have seen
yes.
quite a lot of them. They're
Acha, acha, yeah. See, it is not only Hindus, all the children are learning Bhagavad Gita. Because in schools, you are not finding only Hindus. That means all language speaking people only in you are finding in all schools. No. Birla High School means you have so many Marwadis, Gujaratis. And nowadays, everyone is taking interest in learning Bhagavad Gita. All the schools are nowadays taking interest.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions you can ask? I think some more people, whoever wants to ask any questions, they can interact. Please, some of them, please raise your hand or you can unmute and ask questions. Yes, is anybody there to with any questions, or if they want to tell their, if they want to know something more from Didi, you can interact, please.
Yes.
I just want to say one thing. Can
Yes.
I?
Yeah.
Namaskar, Vanakkam.
Vanakkam.
I'm also learning the
Bhagavad Gita.
chanting from the Gita Parivar.
Yeah.
But what I think so, I'm from MP. I'm learning in the English. One time I learn from the Hindi and one time from the English.
Acha.
So, and my mother also started, because previously my mother was a only worshipper of the God, but she never used to chant. So now she also started, and now she has gone more than 3 levels. I'm still at the first level.
Very
because my pronunciation is not so good. But the one thing I want to suggest that now the Sanskrit Bharati and Uttar Pradesh Shri Sanskrit Vyakhyan Mala have started the online session for the children. So
yes,
there is a one level, second level. There are the 4 levels. There is a free of cost. So Shri Yogi Adityanath ji Cultural Department, Cultural Ministry have started from the Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow. So a person, small children can join the Sanskrit class first, and from the next month they can join the Gita Parivar. So first level of the Sanskrit they can learn from the
Sanskrit Bharati.
Sanskrit Bharati or the Uttar Pradesh Vyakhyanmala, and even I know there is a one more organization is linked to them, that is from the Arya Samaj, Gujarat Arya Samaj.
But in Gita Parivar, they are initially they will train the trainers with the Sanskrit pronunciation, proper pronunciation and all. Then only they will select a trainer to take the classes.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the participants. I'm just
participants.
Giving if the participants, if they are not able to spell the Sanskrit words, so there are the different organizations. They can join the Sanskrit at the primary level from the different organization, from the Uttar Pradesh Sanskrit Vyakhyanmala online, and from the next month they can join the Gita Parivar.
Gita Parivar, very good.
So that is what I get into the sequence. They are different, they are not linked to each other, but I am giving a solution for that. So
solution for that.
Vivek, this solution is for, we have to tell this to Gita Parivar management. I think here, I think we cannot discuss about Gita Parivar. Yeah, because it is not our this one, no? Right now.
Yes.
She's a trainer there, and we are part of. See, I'm also.
Yes, we are part.
We all
yes,
are part.
We both are the part of Gita Parivar.
Gita Parivar. So we can't interact about Gita Parivar's operations actually. No?
Yes,
that is
yeah.
If you want to give any suggestion to any participant, if anybody asks to you that if they are not able to understand, then they can join.
Yeah, that's
both are the free of charge.
Yeah, that you can. Yeah. Hari Om, Mahodaya. Our president
Namaskaraha.
has come.
Sarvebhyo
Akila.
namaskaraha.
Sarvebhyo namaskaraha.
Thank you very much, Akila Jayaramanji. Now, I'm
Thank you.
Prabhakar Rao from Veda Samskruti
Thank you.
Samiti. Our organization invites you for this seminar, and I'm very happy to hear your lecture. And it's interesting to know that Calcutta, this program is going on under Chenmaya Mission.
Yes.
The main important question I have is, when you have got 15 schools, how you manage the scheduling for 1 a week?
Scheduling, actually, we will have preliminary, we will select the children from the school itself. So each and every school we go and we select the children for the first round. And then that
So how many are there in your group?
Yes.
So
You are talking about a competition, or you are talking about teaching Bhagavad-gita?
Okay. So you select the group, that is okay, but you are only one teacher or many teachers? How many teachers are there like you?
No, in the schools which you are going to select the children, that schools, the Sanskrit teachers are there. We will provide them the audio and all. They will learn that with that audio, they will teach the children in the school. And the schools which we are going directly to the school and teach the children in the period which we have given to teach the Gita. Because one day, weekly, we have 3-4 the schools which they want us to come and teach the Bhagavad Gita. That school only we are going. But the schools which the Sanskrit teachers, they are teaching and they are also participating. So all the schools, we will go the school. First round will be in the school itself, and then all the selected people will come to our center, and then we will do the competition like that. And the selected children, the school teachers will also give them practice to participate. And the schools which we are going, we are giving practice to the children for learning Bhagavad Gita.
As on date, how many students are there in roles with you now?
Actually, in Andhra Association School, we have 2 days in a week, 3 days in a week. 3 days in a week means class 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each class we have 100 children. Class 6, 100, class 7, 100, class 4 also 100, 5, 100, 120. At one period, we'll teach 100, 120 children. So like that, we are having 6 periods in a week.
What are the important problems you face?
Problem in the sense, actually, supposing the 100 out of 120 children, hardly 30 to 35 children will learn properly. The other children will distracted and they will distract other children also. For that only, we are doing activities, games and all, so that they can learn through games and through activities like that. Okay. Problems are there because every schools we used to face problems, but sometimes the school coordinators are also helping, and sometimes we have to face ourselves to handle the children and all. So, but out of 120 in a period, one period, 120 children means sometimes it is difficult to manage all, but we are adjusting. Because for the past 5 years, we are doing it. That is why the management also find it to tackle the children. How we are tackling the children and all. That is why they are calling us every year. They are asked us to take Gita chanting during academic session only. They are not giving. Some schools, they are having activity classes. that is twice a week in a month. In that activities classes, some schools, they have introduced this sloka chanting, yoga, music and all. So the children who are interested in yoga, they will participate in yoga. Like that, children who are interested in chanting and all, they are participating in Gita chanting. So not every school, they are giving 100, 120 participants. They are having activity classes twice in a week, twice in a month. That activity classes with how many children are coming in that chanting class, that children only come to take part in competition.
Dhanyawadaha. It's very interesting to hear your involvement in Gita and these things.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you,
are
sir.
interested to invite you for a full-time webinar, 1 hour, 1.5 hour with
Yes.
your children.
Yeah.
Can you arrange a program with your children? Select some children who can arrange, give the program so that we know how they are learning, what are those things like that. Everybody also will get interested and then try to do it. And it will be interesting for the children also to get more and more interested.
Because now it is pandemic, this they cannot get, let me try. I will try.
Yeah, please try for that. That's my request.
Yeah, yeah.
So we would like to give a platform for you to propagate this. And more and more schools will come, more and more children will come if you encourage like this.
Yes.
That's why please try to arrange a program with children.
Children.
How they are teaching,
how they are
learn, teaching. So that will be a better program, more interesting program, I was thinking that.
Okay.
Dhanyawad.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to all, one and all, for
accepting our invitation
and
participating in our program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Didi, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Akila Didi for spending a valuable
please take
time.
over.
Thank you.
Akila Didi, in spite of her busy schedule, she has really made it today. And actually, Vishnu Sahasranama also, she's been teaching it for some thousands of people have learned chanting, and they all are practicing it in their daily prayers, as daily prayers. That is also an advantage for all of us. You know, we can also do it online, as since Mahodaya was saying, not only Bhagavad Gita, all our slokas, stotrams, everything, chanting, all the daily prayers also, they are teaching to all children, even adults also, they are learning. So there is a coordination through, that is, what is that organization, Didi, you are telling? Vishwa Hindu?
Vishnu Sahasranamam is Vishwas Institute of Vishnu Sahasranamam. That is in South.
Yeah.
We have learned Vishnu Sahasranam from that institute, and now we are doing satsang every week in that Vishnu Sahasranam.
Yeah. Okay, Didi,
okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
You so much. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Thanks
Didi.
to one and all. Thank you.
Next lecture is also on Gita only. If you like, you can continue and stay with us.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you.
Please participate in the program.
Yeah,
if you have time. Dhanyawad.
Okay, Didi.
Thank you.
Mahodaya, Prabhu sir has not yet come. So
yeah, can you see me?
Yeah. Okay. Sir. Namaste, Guruji. Yeah.
Can you see and hear me clearly?
No, we are not able to see you. That is why I was. I'll spotlight. 1 second. I'll spotlight. Yes. Yeah. Now we are able to see you.
We could see you, Guruji.
Yes, Guruji.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear you also.
Yes.
So our Guruji, Dr. CSR Prabhu Garu has come, and definitely he will be speaking about science and management in Bhagavad Gita. This is the third session he is handling, and we all are just eagerly waiting to hear from him because of his past part 1 and part 2 experiences, and how he has inculcated in his own applications, and as science, how we can see Bhagavad Gita was all very eye-opening for all of us. we are eagerly looking for Dr. CSR Prabhu Guruji's experiences. And also, one thing I would like to quote that by the year 8, he was thorough in Bhagavad-gita, and his mother was his teacher. So that is one other remarkable experience which we can all really feel great to hear from Dr. CSR Prabhu Guruji. I invite him to take over the podium. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Om. I'll start with some slokas chanting about Gita Mahatyam, then we will go into the Jnana Yoga of the 4th chapter as planned last time. Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Jayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye Rajya Parishujya Satam Vignam Vignan Satatam Vishwaksenam Samashreye Samyak Bhaya Kalapena Mahata Bharatena Chopabhumhita Vedaya Namo Vyasaya Vishnave Vyasam Vasishtanaktaram Shakte Pautramakalmasham Parashagatmajam Vande Sukatatam Taponidhim Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahma Nidhaye Vasishtaya Namo Namah Munim Snigdhambudabhasam Veda Vyasam Akalmasham Veda Vyasam Saraswatyavasam Vyasam Namamyaham Achaturvadano Brahma Vivahura Paroharihi Aphala Lochan Shambhur Bhagavan Vadarayana Krishnam Kamala Patraksham Punya Sravana Kirtanam Vasudevam Munim Naumi Narayanam Harim Krishnaya Yadavendraya Jnana Mudraya Yogine Nadhaya Rukminishaya Namo Vedanta Vedine Prapanna Parijataya Vetratotraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Dhe Namaha Sarabhyajana Sadhu Kurvan Gitamritam Dadau Lokatrayopakadaya Tasmai Krishnatmane Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopal Nandanaha Padho Vatsasya Dhirbhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Pradhaya Pratipaditam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvam Anusandhadhami Bhagavad-gite Bhavadveshinim Gita Shastravidam Punyam Yap Pathed Prayatah Puman Vishnu Padamavapnoti Ayashokadi Varjitah Bharatamrita Sarvasvam Vishnu Vaktra Vinisrutam Gita Gangodakam Pitva Punarjanma Navijyate Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanyai Shastra Vistarai Yaswayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmadvinisruta Gita Jayana Shilasya Pranayama Padasya Cha Naiva Santi Papani Purva Janma Krutanyape Akrityamapi Kurvano Gunjanam Vayatastataha Ghoram Vaivasmatasthanam Gita Dhyayina Pashyati Malamirmochanam Pumsam Jalasnanam Dine Dine Sakrut Gitam Bhasisnanam Samsara Malamochanam Shlokam Tadardham Va Padam Padardhameva Va Nityam Padhati Yo Bhaktya Samoksham Adhigacchati Sarva Shastramayi Gita Sarva Vedamayo Hari Sarva Tirthamayi Ganga Sarva Dharmamayo Manu Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gita Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantro Devaki Putra Nama Karmapyekam Devaki Putra Seva. Well, friends, we have dealt in the last 2 episodes on management perspectives covered in the Bhagavad-gita. So let us continue that today. Basically, it all starts with the Arjuna being a depressed person, hesitant to deliver his duty, having planned and having arrived at the spot of the war, which is his duty. If he was not interested in fighting the war, he should have not come at all in the first place. And in fact, most of you may not know the reason why the Mahabharata war was conducted at Kurukshetra itself and not any other place. If you know, any one of you can tell me. I came to know only recently why Dhritarashtra scheduled the war to be executed only at Kurukshetra, which is a holy place, Dharmakshetra. It is like Kashi or Tirupati. Will anybody conduct a war at Tirupati or Kashi? But similarly, Dhritarashtra has planned to conduct the war at Kurukshetra. The main reason, which is not known to most of the people, is that he expected that people who go to Kurukshetra, which is a Dharmakshetra like Kashi or Tirupati, will change their mind, will just give up the thinking about violence and war and want to come back. Assuming that there will be an impact on the minds of the people because of the environment at Kurukshetra, which is a Dharmakshetra for a very long time, before the Mahabharata war. Right from the creation, Brahma's Srishti started there. There is a Brahma Sarovar. So he thought once you go there, there will be a change of mind for Duryodhana particularly. And maybe he will withdraw from the war, or somebody will withdraw from the war. Maybe because of that reason, we don't know. Arjuna had that impact on his mind after going there and said, no, I don't want to kill and so on in the first chapter. So there is a very delicate and critical situation, Sankata Paristhiti, arising out of that kind of a withdrawal due to depression. So the whole first chapter was about why the war should not be fought. And in the second chapter, as I told last time, the Lord Krishna has explained to him that you shall not be withdrawing from your duty, you shall deliver your duty. So quite often we face this situation. I also faced this situation. When I went to Delhi on transfer in the last part of my career, about 30 years in the central government, I was in the queue to become the Director General, and suddenly there was a crisis. And I could have gone back and giving up, but then I fought. So the basic principle is that when there is a crisis, when there is a big problem in front of you, either you fight or you flee. If you flee, then you will never win. And on the contrary, you will get a bad name. But having faced the crisis, if you fight and then win over, you will get glory. Even if you don't win, if you die in the war, you will still get the glory. So this was being impressed upon by Lord Krishna to Arjuna to make him overcome out of the depression. And so that explanation given in the second chapter is expanded into all the rest 16 chapters, totally 18 chapters, in detail, more and more detail on each of the principles which he has elucidated in the second chapter itself. So the conviction of Arjuna was brought around. In fact, there is also a possibility that the present version of Gita, we have around 700 slokas, is the expanded version. The original version was the Jaya, which was only 10,000 slokas, had only second chapter and no other chapter. So as Gita, as Mahabharata got expanded, Gita also got expanded. But by the time of Adi Shankaracharya himself, Gita was expanded fully as we have it today, which is around 500 BC, which is 499 BC is the date given to Adi Shankaracharya. And by then he wrote the commentary to Bhagavad Gita, where he has brought out clearly that Lord Krishna has impressed upon Arjuna to perform his duty, deliver dharma. And dharma is two types, the pravritti lakshana dharma and the nivritti lakshana dharma. So nivritti lakshana dharma is meant for liberation, moksha, and pravritti lakshana dharma is meant for delivering your duty and maintaining the social order in the society. To uphold the social order, virtue, to uphold the dharma, whatever activities, including war, will be considered as part of extroversion dharma or the pravritti lakshana dharma. But you should also remember that dharma is the first and foremost purusharthas, the remaining three being artha, kama, and moksha. Without artha and kama and moksha, only dharma will not be feasible, because we are living in this life and we have to deliver our duties in order to fulfill our desires, in order to acquire the means of fulfillment. Artha simply means means, which could be money or which could be anything else, to fulfill the desires. And only after fulfilling the desires, you reach the moksha. If you give up all the desires, you don't have any desires, you don't need to fulfill desires. But since we do have desires, and the methodology for fulfilling those desires is artha, means. And if that is based, artha and kama, if they are based on dharma, then they are successful. But artha and kama, if they are not based on dharma, which is the first purushartha, if they are based on adharma, for example, then they will lead to catastrophe. So today what's happening in the world, in society, is that people don't know what is dharma, and they simply want to go for artha and kama, because our economic system, our education system, our financial management system, all these are only teaching how to make more money and how to consume more desires. That is kama. So consumption and economy, the money making process, these artha and kama are dominating the society, and nobody is bothered about dharma, and therefore they never get moksha, because moksha is freedom. And we are caught up in all kinds of problems. I mean, there can be cultural problems, there can be religious problems, there are conflicts. Between every two individuals, there is a conflict. Between every two nations, there is a conflict. Because dharma is not understood. Dharma is not being maintained at the center stage, which is what Lord Krishna attempted and succeeded in conducting the war, Mahabharata World War. So that after that, dharma was upheld. Until now, 5,000 years passed, some kind of dharma is there. In Kali Yuga, only 25% dharma will exist. At least 25% exists. But you can see the Viraya Tandava of adharma every day in the TV and newspapers. Now, we have covered last time about the Karma Yoga. Now, I'll give you a few comments about the management perspective of Karma Yoga once again before I go to Jnana. So, in the context of quality, we all know that we have the quality management system, we have the auditors, we have ISO 9000, 2001, 2000, so on and so forth. So all these quality measures, the word quality, believe it or not, was first used, or skill and quality are more or less conveying the same meaning, was first ever used in the Bhagawadgita out of all texts. It is not a new concept in the modern management, because yoga karmasu kaushalam, he has used this word kaushalam, skill or quality, in the second chapter. It's the very first instruction he was giving to Lord Arjuna. When Lord Krishna told about yoga karmasu kaushalam. So he meant quality, skill in action. So now he also said, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kalachana, ma karma palaheturbhur mate sangos akarmani. The last phrase, mate sangos akarmani. You shall not be becoming lazy and do nothing. That should not be there. At the same time, you shall do your duty and to the perfection with skill. And having done that, don't worry about the result. So this last time also there was a lot of discussion. What is this? How is it possible to perform your duty or actions without any interest in the result of that action? That is not the case. Here I'll give you an example of the quality processes. We have the processes, people, project, all this, PPP models and all that. So in the quality process, we have what is called process audit. So there are many industries which don't have any product coming out. So there are industries which have products coming out. There are many industries like service industry, banking, or IT services, or any other intellectual activity, IT companies and all this. They don't have specific products except the process itself. So the focus there in assurance of quality assurance is nothing but to focus on the process itself, whether the process is well defined, if it is well defined, whether it is being followed and implemented meticulously, adhered to without any deviation. If it is done so, automatically the product or result or service will come out. So, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhut mate sangos tvakarmani. So you shall perform your processes perfectly with skill, and that's all. Automatically the result will come. Even Abraham Lincoln is on record to say that I do my duty to its perfection to the end, and that's all. What happens after that is not my responsibility, because the final result is not depend on you. It is dependent on many other factors, because you are only a small part in the organization or in the project. You will do your duty, and if the project failed or the organization failed or 5-year plan failed, it is not because of you, because you have done your duty perfectly. Concept is used in modern management also, even from the quotations of Abraham Lincoln and various other management experts. So karma yoga, that is work for work's sake, doing excellence in work. Yoga karmasu kaushalam samatvam yoga uchyate. That is not to be disturbed and perturbed about the consequences and worry about it right from the beginning. Because if you are preoccupied with the worries of the what is going to happen later, suppose somebody is preparing for some exam, competitive exam, let's say IAS. If he starts worrying right in the beginning, whether I will get selected or not, or how many seats are there, is it very difficult, there's no point. So he will never even try. So when you perform the work, you must forget about the result, dedicate yourself 100% to 100% on the work on hand and do it perfectly with skill. And when the result comes, there should be equanimous. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Because if you start reacting in an extreme manner to the results, then it will be self-defeating purpose. Because there are people who may commit suicide or who may go and do some other violent activity in case of failure of any particular task, which is not correct. Because even during the process of putting the effort in the process, even if it is a failure as a result, he has acquired the skill and knowledge of performing that process. He can repeat it elsewhere. He can get, if not IIT, he can get IIT, or if not IAS, he can get IRS or state service, because same processes are there in many, many procedures and objectives and projects. So what is important is the skill development, which is coming by adhering meticulously, dedicating yourself to the process on hand and not worry about the product. Because sometimes the product may not exist, only the process matters. Product may not exist. If the process is perfect, product will automatically come out correct. So now in the fourth chapter, he is going into issues like what is action, what is not action, kim karma, kima karmeti, kavayopyatra mohita, tatte karma pravachyami, yajnatva mokshasya shubha. कर्मणोऽप्यपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः. Now he is going into the hair splitting arguments and definitions of what is karma, what is not karma, what is opposite of karma. कर्मणोऽप्यपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः. It is not an easy thing. What is karma? Because normally when people talk in Indian languages, oh my karma, they'll say, without knowing what is that karma. So karma is nothing but action. So karta, karma, kriya, like that, karma is your action. You are the doer, you are karta. So when you are performing karma, it will have a result. In the third chapter, he has explained, not even 1 second anybody can sit without doing any action. The forces of nature will enforce, see to it that you will deliver some karma or the other, good or bad. At least your breathing will be going on, your thoughts will be going on, your internal physiological processes will be going on, and you cannot sit like that all the time. You go and do some work. So you end up doing some work, and that work will give a result. And that result, if you are obsessed, it will create an impact on you. Emotional disturbance, perturbation in your balance. So depending on the result being pleasant or unpleasant. So if you are going to be disturbed with all these consequences, then the next action on your hand will never come to you, because you are a failure. You may run away, or you may commit suicide, or what Arjuna wanted to run away from his duty. Then you are a failure. You get only nothing but bad name. So you have to take with equanimity, whatever be the result, good or bad. Because if you are getting elated with the good result, that also is very childish. If you are getting depressed with the bad result, that is also childish. A mature person, I gave you last time an example, a mature person playing cricket with small children will not get elated or depressed with the number of runs made or who is winning and who is losing in that cricket game. So, in fact, even Lord Krishna took the whole world, whole life. Vidavas Akhilam Jagat, Sutirajna Vapurjnanam Tam Vande Devaki Sutam. So his word is jnana. His life is a game, is a sport. And all actions he did was sportful. Sport, Krida was Tvakilam Jagat. We also say in English, be sportive. So being sportive in our actions is very important, whether you succeed or fail, because if you succeed or fail in something, you can always get another success somewhere else, maybe better. So before that, we should understand what is karma, what is akarma, and what is vikarma. Vikarma is obviously a bad karma, doing the opposite of what you're supposed to do. As Gandhiji said, running fast in the wrong direction is not development. So what is happening today in our economy? We are creating so much of pollution, environmental destruction, and we call it development. So the so-called development is nothing but environmental destruction. So that is vikarma. So-called vikarma, that is so-called development to satisfy the greed, like the Amazon forest has been deforested by the contractors. So who is benefiting? The contractors are benefiting. Amazon is getting destroyed, and the earth will be difficult to live, as we are already facing an environmental crisis. So karmano havi bodhavyam cha vikarmana akarmanascha bodhavyam gaharana karmano gati. Now if you understand what is akarma, not doing anything, and vikarma is doing the wrong things, karma is of course doing your duty correctly without attachment to result. Karmanya karmaya pasyed akarmani cha karmaya sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta kritsna karma krut. Now he is throwing a riddle at us. He who sees akarma in karma and karma in akarma, karmanya karmaya pasyed akarmani cha karma sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta kritsna akarma krut. A person who can see akarma in karma and karma in akarma, that means no action, no work in work, and work in no work. Is it paradoxical? No. You can see, suppose now due to lockdowns, we sit at home and no work is there, but actually you are doing more work. So more work at work from home. So work from home is more work than working from office. So that means it is an example of karmanya akarmaya pasyed akarmani karmaya. So it depends on so many other factors, whether it is karma or akarma. And doing akarma while doing karma is, there are two ways to interpret it. People who are not productive, they may spend a lot of time and a lot of energy and nothing comes out finally. You dig a whole mountain and get a small mouse out of it. There's no use, it's a waste. On the other hand, those who do even world wars, conducting like Lord Krishna conducted Mahabharata war, they are actually not doing anything because they are not concerned with the consequences. They are not having stakes in it. But he conducted the war and he did nothing. So in fact, Sri Krishna was known as Nitya Brahmachari, who did nothing. While doing everything, he upheld dharma in this society at his times. And his avatar was meant for that. Now he is giving a description of Yasya Sarve Samarambha Kama Sankalpa Varjita Jnanagni Dagdhu Karmani Tamahu Panditam Budha. Who is a Pandita? Pandita means Pandit Nehru, Pandit, these are not Pandits. A Pandita is a person, Yasya Sarve Samarambha Kama Sankalpa Varjita. He has no desires, like Krishna did not have any desires. But he was conducting huge activities. Jnanagni Dagdhu Karmani, because he had the Jnanagni. All his actions were burnt in the fire of Jnana. What is Jnana? The chapter 4 is Jnana Yoga. We have already covered Karma Yoga last time. I repeated some parts of it today. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya trupto nirashraya karmanya abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti. Akarma. Akarma in karma, doing nothing. Lord Krishna did nothing. Because he had no stakes, he has no attachment, he has no obsession, he has no attachment to the result of his actions. He conducted a world war and so many people died and dharma was re-established. But he had nothing, he had done nothing. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita jnanagni dagdhu karman tamahu panditam budha. So unless you have jnana, you cannot be a pandita in the first place. And if you have jnana and if you are detached from your karma through karma yoga, then you are a pandit. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya trupto nirashraya. What does it mean? He has no sangha attachment to the karma phala he is equally satisfied whatever happens as a consequence. This way or that. Nityatrupta nirasraya is not dependent. Karmanya abhipravritto api, even though he is fully engaged, abhipravrittaha, that means fully, excellently, exemplarily involved and executing and achieving that whole task, but he is not affected, he is not doing anything. Akarma, in karma. Nirashi nirmamo bhutva Yakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannāproti kilpasham. Yadrichhālāva santushto dvandvātīto vimatsaraha samasiddhāva siddhau ca krutvapi nanibadhyate. Yadrichhālāva santushto dvandvātīto vimatsaraha samasiddhāva siddhau ca krutvapi nanibadhyate. Having done is not bound. This is a very important point. I request all of you to realize this delicate point. Because the bandha, karma bandha, results in the life after death. If you have no karma left, you will not be born again. You will be liberated. But if you have karma left, which means karma bandha left, you will be forced to be born again and go through the entire suffering of life which we are going through this. So how to come out of karma bandha? For the first time, of course, this principle was delivered for the first time in the Ishavasya Upanishad. Ishavasya sarvamat kinchit jagatyam jagat tena chaktena bundhita magura vasagritam. There is nothing which belongs to you. Therefore, you shall do your duty for the sake of the society. This concept was delivered in Ishavasya Upanishad, but it was not elaborated in practice as Lord Krishna did for the first time in the Bhagawadgita. All other texts, we have Bhakti Yoga, we have Raja Yoga, we have Jnana Yoga, but Karma Yoga expanded full scale is only by Lord Krishna. So the copyright or patent, whatever you call for Karma Yoga, goes to Lord Krishna without any doubt. Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnanavasthita Chetasah Yajnaya Chakataha Karma Samagram Prayati. Now this is a very important concept of Yajna. In case you are doing karma without attachment to the result, you have no plans, you have no obsessions, you have no desires, but still you are doing in a big way. Why are you doing? Because yajnaya charataha is doing for the purpose of yajna. Normally, again, yajna in the Vedas, the Yajurveda, or the Brahmanas, or the later texts, even in the Ramayana, the word yajna was used only for dravya yajna. Performing havanam, doing various types of havidya. There are 11 havidyagas: Agnihotram, Vaishnadevam, Somayagam, Chayanam, and Vajapayam, Ashwamedham, and so on. So they are called yajnas. And in third chapter is also explained yajnat bhavati patanyam yajnadana sambhava. So yajna leads to rains, and rains lead to food production. All that is fine, but here is giving a different, totally different perspective of yajna. Yajnaya charata, because everybody will not be performing the dravya yajna all the time. So for the first time in the history of the world, Lord Krishna is explaining various other types of yajnas other than dravya yajna. Yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate. Brahmarpanam brahmahavi brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmaiva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina. The yajna is a brahma karma. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam. The person who is doing the havanam, the fire which is receiving the havanam, and the whole process is Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam. All are Brahman. Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. In the level of enlightened state of samadhi, he sees everything as Brahman. As Sri Aurobindo saw in the jail, everyone as Krishna. The jailer, the prisoners, and the police, everyone was Krishna only. So Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Samahatma Sudurlabhama. So in a yajna process, he will explain what are the various types of yajnas other than regular dravya yajna. Like what we are doing now is jnana yajna and yoga yajna and so on. He will explain one by one. So in all these yajna processes, the entire process is Brahman only. The doer, the receiver, the process, the entire yajna is Brahman. Brahmarpanam, Brahmavid, Brahmagno, Brahmautam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina, Daivameva Parejnam, Yogina Paripasate, Brahmagna Parejnam, Yajnana Evopajupati. Now, other types of yajnas he is going to explain, which yogis perform. Srotradi Indriyana is Samyamagnishdupati. If you are able to control your senses fully, that is called Samyamagni, discipline yajna. Sabdadi Vishanyanya Indriya Juhvati, Sarvani Indriya Karmani, Prana Karmani Chapare, Atma Samyama Yoga Gno, Juhvati Jnana Deepite. There is a light of jnana in which you perform the havanam of Sarvani Indriya Karmani, Jnana Karmani Chapare, Atma Samyama Yoga. Self-control, discipline is a yajna by itself. Dravya yajna, snapo yajna, yoga yajna, stadhapare, swadhyaya, jnana yajna, dravya yajna we know very well, very famous. Now is a big yajna being planned at Prabhu, near Rajahmundry. Huge, it costs 65 crores. So people want funds. They are approaching me and many others. I am also trying to raise. It's a huge yajna process. That is dravya yajna. Tapo yajna, tapas is also yajna. Yoga yajna, yoga abhyasa is also yajna. And he is going to explain the next sloka. What is that yoga yajna? Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, stathavare, swadhyaya, jnana yajnascha. Swadhyaya is like what we are doing now. Jnana yajna. These are all yajnas. Swadhyaya, jnana yajnascha. Yatayah samshitam vrata. Yatis, those who control themselves, will be dedicatedly performing these different types of yajnas. Apane, now what is that yoga yajna? Apane jupati pranam, pranayapanam tadha pare, pranapana gati rudhva, pranayama parayana. In the morning class, I have taught various types of pranayamas. So pranayama is dedicated one full shloka in the 4th chapter of Bhagawadgita, which is a very big recognition of the importance of pranayama. In fact, Panchashikhakarya is on record. Kim tapa pranayama? Is there any tapas more powerful, more purifying, and more greater than pranayama? This is the statement Panchashikhakarya gave, which is quoted in all the texts. So Lord Krishna is confirming it here. Pranayama is a yajna where apana is performed havan in prana and prana in apana. Because pranayama is nothing but pranapana gati rudhva pranayama parayana. Pranayama parayanas will stop the natural processes of inhalation exhalation by performing various types of ratios of inhalation, retention, and exhalation. Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka, in various durations, and the Tirtha Sukshma, as Patanjali says. So this pranayama is a yajna. So please note, he has talked about dravya yajna. When I went to some big dravya yajnas, those Brahmins were saying, those who don't perform yajna will lose their Brahmin identity. Then I quoted them this sloka, Apane Jukpati Pranam, Pranayapanam Tathapare, Pranapana Gati Rudhva, Pranayama Parayana. What about this yajna? Then he said, yes, exactly. So yoga is itself a yajna. Again, if it is true that all those Brahmins who do not perform big yajnas will become defunct, they will not be Brahmins anymore. That is the original Shastra statement. I am not disputing that. But then the alternative is also there. Pranayama, Apane Jupati Pranam, Pranayama, Pranayapane Tathapare, Pranapana Gati Rudhva, Pranayama Parayana, Apare Niyatahara. What are the other alternatives? Fasting. Apare Niyatahara, Pranam Praneshu Jupati. They perform Havana of Prana in Prana itself. In the Pranayama, they are doing Havana of Prana in Apana and Apana in Prana. But in fasting, Prana is doing Havana in Prana itself. Apare niyatahara pranan pranesh jupati sarvepyete yajna vido yajna kshapita kalmasha. So what is the purpose of yajna? Is to clear the kalmasha, the impurities in the body, mind, complex, panchakoshas. So in the entire Yoga Shastra, we teach how to clean the panchakoshas. Yajna sishtamrta sante yanti brahma sanatanam Nayam lokosya parosya utonna krutusuttama evam bahuvidha yajna itata brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam shajya swami. So when you perform a yajna, what is left out as prasada? Yajna sisthasinas santo uchyante sarva kilvishai. Only that shall be consumed. That is, after you deliver to the society, to the environment, to Prakriti, to God, to various devatas, whatever you are supposed to deliver, having delivered all that, whatever is remaining, what you call prasadam, that you consume. Yajna sisthasinas santo uchyante sarva kilvishai. Those who consume only that prasada of yajna will be relieved from all the sins committed. Naham loko, the verse. Evam bahuvidha yajna, that is, various types of yajnas exist, and this is the first time in the history of literature that all these activities of tapascharya's, we have Krit Chandrayana tapascharya's, Krit and Chandrayana Vratam, I don't know if you heard of it. Those who have performed heinous crimes like murders, rapes, they will be given this prayashchittam. Chandrayanam means you will eat a full meal on the Purnami day, and next day you will reduce your intake, and on Amavasya day you eat nothing, and again you start eating a little more till Purnami comes. So this is Chandrayana Vratam. So many other Vratams are there. So all these Chandrayana Vratams, various tapascharya's, they are meant for purifying the body. All fastings, Shivratri fasting, or in many countries, in many cultures, all types of different types of fastings exist. They are meant for purification. They are also recognized as yajnas. Shreyans dravyamaya yajna, jnana yajna, parantapa. Please note, those dravyamaya yajnas which cost huge amounts of money, crores and crores of rupees. Of course, I do Agnihotram, which is only 2-minute job. It is a daily yajna, but big yajnas cost crores and crores. Somebody said 60 crores are required for that particular yajna being conducted at Koor. Now, in fact, it is shocking to see that Lord Krishna is telling the Jnana Yajna is superior to Dravyamaya Yajnas. Just imagine, whatever we are doing right now is also a Jnana Yajna, and whatever our friends like Akhilaji and Gayatri Parivar or the Gita Parivar or so many other organizations, all these people, Ramakrishna Mission, Chinmaya Mission, they are all doing Jnana Yajna. In fact, Chinmaya Mission declares every program as Jnana Yajna. So, Shreyan Dravyamaya Yajna, Jnana Yajna Parantam. So, Dravyamaya Yajna, Jnana Yajna, Shreyaha, Sarvam Karma Akhilam Pardha Jnane. How come you said this? The Karmishthis will question this. People who were defeated, Mandan Mishra and others, who upheld karma as their yes, nothing more than that. Because karma will give result and you will be enjoying the result because of the result, there is no escape from it. But now Lord Krishna is contradicting all such karma claims of supremacy by saying that Sarvam Karma Akhilam Pardha Jnane Parisamapyate. There is what is called Jnana. In fact, Adi Shankaracharya defeated all others and therefore established as Jagat Guru because he could establish the same thing as Lord Krishna said here, Sarvam Karma Akhilam Pardha Jnane Parisamapyate. There is a level of Jnana means not ordinary Jnana. They are talking of Adhyatma Jnana. Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Satya Jnana Darshanam Eta Jnanam iti Proktam Ajnanam Yatato Anyadha. All the rest is Ajnana. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, all this is called Ajnana. But what is Jnana is Adhyatma Jnana. Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Satya Jnana Darshanam Eta Jnanam iti Proktam Ajnanam Yatato Anyadha. He said it in another chapter. So that Jnana, Jnanam Teham Prakshyami Yajnatva Amrutam Ashrute, that which leads to Amrita, Vidyaya Amrutam Ashrute, this is the Shruti Vakyam. So that Jnana, which leads you to immortality, is supreme, and all karma will end with Jnana. What does he mean by that? Sarvam Karma Akhilam Pardha Jnane Parisamapyate. Because all karma is not going to be Jnana by itself, but it will lead to a stage where Jnana can be received because of purification. So like in Yoga Shastra, Yoga Abhyasa system is getting purified. All the Panchakoshas are getting purified. So also in Tapas Krutchangrayana, Tapakcharyas, the systems are getting purified. And so also in the Yajna Karmas of various types, the purification of the individual and the society and the environment takes place. And finally, what is the purpose of all karma? Only purification, and finally the dawning or the descent or the avataran of jnana is the ultimate step. Sarvam karma akhilam partha jnane parisamapyate tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshinaha. That jnana will be delivered to you by the jnanis who know that, who are tattvadarshis, who are deep philosophical perspectives. They have realized souls. They will deliver you the jnana by your service, servitude to them. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Pranipata means sashtanga namaskaram. Pariprasnena, requesting questions, question answering. The Upanishads are nothing but pariprashna. The Shishya asks Guru and Guru tells Shishya. This goes on. The entire jnana in the Upanishads is jnana. So tadvidhi pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya Guru seva jnaninaha upadekshanti te jnanam tattvadarshinaha. So what will happen after you acquire that jnana? Yam labdva Chaparam labham manyatena adhikam tadha yasmin sthitona dukkhena guruna bhivichariti. In the 6th chapter, he has explained, having reached which there is nothing more to be reached, and yajnatva na punat moham yasriti pandava. You will not be again back to the pavilion with delusion into the karma chakra and get caught into the death and birth cycle. Yena bhutan yaseshena rakshasya atman yadhomayi. And having acquired that jnana, you will be able to see me, that means Paramatma, in all beings and yourself as one. Sarvabhutasthamaatmanam sarvabhutani jatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshinaha. So Samadarshi, in fact, we have a big activity going on in the outskirts of Hyderabad, where Ramanujacharya's huge statue, one of the biggest in the world, has been established, and Prime Minister has come. Today night he will be dedicating to the world. And what is that whole process called? Samata. So that samatvam, samata does not mean giving reservations to various people. That is not samata. Here he is giving some other definition of samata here. Samatvam yoga uchyate. That is yajnatva na punat moham yasisi pandava yena bhutan yasishena. Please mute your mics. You shall be seeing me in all as one. Please mute the other mics. Apichedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakritamah sarvam jnana plaveneva vrijinam santarishyati. So even the worst of all sinners, if he can reach that level of jnana, which is of course not an easy task, if he reaches, then he will be liberated from all those things. As in the case of Valmiki. Ratnakara became Valmiki after acquiring jnana, all his sins were washed away. Athevan samidhe jnanagni sarvakarmani asmasat kurte. Just like in the fire you put a samidha, it will be burnt into ashes. So in the fire of jnana, all your karmas, good and bad, worst of all sins included, will be burnt into ashes. So it is not that you simply believe in Jesus Christ and all your karmas are ready. It's not like that. It is the enlightenment. Once you reach the enlightened state, like Valmiki reached, then your past karma will have no consequence on you. It is burnt away. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram he vidyate tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati. So this jnana is the most supreme and most holy and most purest entity in this universe. And how will you get it? Yoga samsiddha. A person who is performing yoga abhyasa, tapasya, sadhana, will get success, samsiddha, the siddhi, in kala, kale by time. The time has to come. Even Sri Aurobindo has emphasized on the role of time. Apart from your effort, you can put as much effort as possible, but time has to come. And people have also talked of Ishvaranugraha, Dhatu Prasadat Mahimanam Atmanaha. Even the Upanishads have talked about Dhatu Prasada, which is Ishvaranugraha. Bhagavad Gita says Ishvaranugraha Deva Pumsam Advaita Vasana Mahadbhaya Paritranat Vipranam Upajayate. So unless Ishvaranugraha is there and the time comes for that, your jnana will not enlighten on you, it will not dawn on you. You may hear thousands of lectures. Nahi Nayamatma Pravachanena Labhyo, Na Medhaya, Na Bahuna Srutena. You may be very intelligent, or you might have read a lot of books. That does not mean you have acquired jnana. People like Ramana Maharshi or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, they didn't go around reading books in libraries and getting degrees like PhD and all that. They had the enlightenment of jnana on their own. By virtue of their past karma of previous lives, they had this life. So similarly, when your past karma of the previous life matures, in this life you may get enlightenment, jnana. Otherwise, maybe next life. Nothing to worry. As Patanjali says, Mrutumadhyadi matratvat tato visheshataha. Some people go slow, some people go medium, some people go fast. But finally, everybody will go there. Yajnatvana punarmoham, that means you will not come back to this delusionary life and bondage. Now, yoga samjissa karmanam jnana sanchina samchayam atmavantam nakarmani vivat. So the karma yoga and jnana, because he has said earlier, unless the jnana agni is there, it's not possible for a karma yogi to perform all karma and say they have done nothing. Karmanya karmaya pasyeda karmanya cha karmaya jnana agni dagdhu karmanam tamahu panditam bha. So only after jnana, whatever karma yoga is possible for him to implement. Otherwise, it will be just pipe dream. It will be a delusion or imagination or kind of a confusion. Tasmad ajnana sambhutam jnana sanch hrustham jnanasinatmana chitvainam samchayam yogam atishthottishtava. Oh, therefore, Arjuna, you stop this doubt of whether to fight or not. You wake up, uttishtata jagrata prapyavara nivosata, as Kathopanishad says. You wake up and you deliver with enlightenment. Jnana. In fact, Krishna is expecting Arjuna to be a karma yogi after being a jnana, not just karma yogi. So jnani be karma yogi. So jnana, the supreme knowledge, which will be explained again and again in the other chapters, that itself will give the enlightenment. That is Brahma jnana, Atma jnana. Who is a Brahmana? Brahman jnanati the Brahmana. He who has Brahma jnana is called Brahman. Of course, the word Brahma has two meanings. One is Brahman, which is absolute reality. The other is Veda, because Veda tells about Ishvara and Brahman, both are equivalent. So he who has Veda jnana is also a Brahmajnani, therefore a Brahman. He who has Brahmajnana need not have studied Vedas or studied Vedas, like Ramana Maharshi didn't go to a Ved Pathshala and study Vedas, but he had Brahmajnana. So he who has Brahmajnana is a Brahman. Brahmam janati iti Brahmana. So this Brahmajnana is the key to moksha and liberation. And in terms of the modern management, once again, self-actualization. You know, we have leadership. When you talk of leaders, we have ordinary leader who will lead a team of, say, 4 people in a project manager. That's it. And he thinks he's a very great man. He might deliver very good results through his team. But what about his boss, who is leading many such teams? And what about his boss of the boss, who leads the entire unit? And what about his boss, who leads the entire country? So as you go higher and higher in the leadership, I have worked in various levels in my own career, from single to team leader to project manager to director to senior director to deputy director general to director general. So director general is for the whole country. You have 20,000 people reporting to the director general in the whole country. Now, as you go higher in the management hierarchy, you are supposed to have higher level motivations, not just for food and shelter, not for just kind of promotions, not for social recognition, not for praise and your name and fame and all that. But finally, like Gandhi or any other great leader like Krishna, what is their motivation? Their motivation is not any one of these. That is self-actualization. In the Maslow need hierarchy, self-actualization. I want to do it, so I do it. Why I want to do it? Because I have my own enlightened reasons. I want to uphold dharma, or I want to deliver my duty, or I want to protect so many paritranaya sadhunam vinayasaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanardhaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So that self-actualization level of leadership is a topmost leadership. There is no selfishness there. I want money, I want this, I want that, nothing. I don't want anything, but I just do it for the sake of loka sangraha. The third chapter he has explained, nameka pardhasi kartavyam trishulokeshu kinchana. I don't have any kartavyam, any duty in all the three worlds, but I shall still do things. I shall acquire the various avtaras. The fourth chapter also has said in the beginning, I have taken many lives, many avtaras, and I have delivered this jnana right from the beginning of the creation. Imam vivasvate jnanam proktavan ahamavyam vivasvan manave prahu manurikshvagave bravit evam paramparagatam. So that entire jnana process, now I am telling you, this is what he has told. I didn't go into all those statements. I was focusing more on the leadership and the personality development in the context of management. And I stop here in the importance of Karma Yoga associated with Jnana. And what is that Jnana and how to acquire that Jnana? When will it come? We have discussed very briefly today, but in the next series, we will be getting more deeper into, say, the yoga process of samadhi or enlightenment, in which the Jnana suddenly arrives, dawns, delivers, or get descended into the individual. Then after that, he is freed. Om Tat Sat. Hello.
Dhanyavadaha, Mahodaya. I was just seeing if Prabhakar ji was there. I think he is left. Dr.
We can open for
Mataji?
questions.
Yeah, it is open for any questions and an interactive session. Please, any one of you want to raise any questions or you want to know something more about Jnana Yoga? So far, our speaker has given a very enlightening speech on Jnana Yoga related to science and management. Bhagawadgita related to science and management. He has explained each sloka of Jnana Yoga relating to science and management. So any one of you can interact and ask any of your doubts or your queries or whatever you want to know more about it. You're welcome, please. Anybody who has any questions or you want to comments, yeah. Yeah. Now I myself I'll ask a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
In Jnana Yoga, as you have been explaining, it's about the Jnana we possess. It can be from any source we learn, isn't it? Jnana Yoga. Or is it specific source? Like what I mean to ask you is it only the ancient scriptures, the Gnanam which we derive from ancient scripture or our Hindu Dharma? Is it specific Gnanam or anything else we learn from different sources? Will it all come under the same Gnana? I just want to know.
Yeah, good question. Let me first clarify to you that the Jnana used here in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita is not just knowledge of any subject. Like you can acquire the knowledge of mathematics, physics, chemistry, economics, commerce, accounting. All this is also considered as normal, what is called a worldly jnana, right? Now, this jnana is not what is being discussed here. This is adhyatma jnana, spiritual enlightenment, knowledge of spiritual enlightenment. It is not about worldly matters. all the worldly matters, jnana is considered as ajnana. Number one, okay. Number two, jnana can be, in fact, he has a tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati. It will dawn within yourself, he is saying. So it will dawn within yourself by time. By the siddhi in yoga, yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati. Shraddhavan lavate jnana, tatpara samyatendriya. A person who has shraddha, he only will get it. And he tatpara means he is dying for it, he is restless for it. So, and he is self-controlled, disciplined. Jnanam labdha param shantim achirena hivachati. Having the, what is the proof of having acquired that jnana? He will reach param shanti, the highest peace. And he will see divinity in everything. He will see himself and God and others as one. Yena sarvam bhansya rakshasya atman yatho mayi. So these are the indications of that acquisition of knowledge. But again, it need not be, it can be from scriptures, because the Veda, the Shruti, the Upanishads are this main source. Upanishads are from the Vedas. Only the Jnana Kanda. The Karma Kanda is kept separate. So Shruti will give the Jnana, no doubt. And Srotriyam Brahmanishtam, the Guru whom you approach, he has to be having two qualities, Srotriya and Brahmanishta. He has to be realized and is established in Brahman. That means he is established in God all the time. Then he is Srotriya, he knows the Shruti also. He has studied the Shrutis, he has learned it from his gurus or on his own or whatever. So both he has true enlightenment. Of course, if you are like Dattatreya said, he has 24 gurus. You know, one crane is also my guru, Konga. So it will be just standing there as if it is doing japam. And the moment the fish comes, it will pick up. So that quality of attentiveness, he learned from crane. Similarly, something else from somebody, something from a tree, something from fire, something from, you know, XYZ. So 24 gurus he has talked about. And Ramakrishna Paramhansa said he also has a large number of gurus and he will be learning all his life till the end of his life. So these are all parts of that total jnana. When Lord Krishna is talking of jnana, he is talking of the total jnana. So now this total jnana, Vedanta jnana, as it is also called, and which is requiring the pre-qualifications, Shamadamad Shakka Sampatti, Shamadamad Satiksha Uparati, and Nicha Nicha Vastu Vivekam, Iha Mukta Phala Virakti, and Mumukshatva. These are four sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. So a person who has all these four sadhana chatushtayas is fit for receiving Brahmajnana from the Shruti through the Guru, or on his own also. On his own it will be based on his previous life. So it is a complex problem. There is no single answer to your question. There are multiple possibilities, but as Lord Krishna has summarized, that there are 3-4 indications. No, first indication, not coming back to the moha, delusion. Second indication is freedom and oneness with all. Yajñātvāna punarmoham yasyasi pandava yena bhutan yaseshana drakshasya atmani adhomayi. So within himself he sees the Lord and the entire universe, everything. That is, he has got cosmic consciousness. So these are the indications he gave, very, very summarized in this 4th chapter, last few slokas. He will go more deeper in 9th chapter and 13th chapter, more and more. Sarvata Panipadam, Sarvatokshi Siromukam, Sarvata Sridman Loke, Sarvamavritya Tishtati, Sarvendriya Gunabhasam, Sarvendriya Vivarchita, Asaktam Sarvavritchaiva, Nirgunam Gunabhoktricha, Bahirantascha Bhutana, Acharam Charamevacha, Bhuta Bhartrajita Jnayam, Rasishnu Prabhavishnacha, Jyotisham Abhita Jyotis Tamas Paramuchate, Jnanam Jnayam Jnanagamyam, Hrudi Sarvasya Vishtila. The nature of the self, the nature of Bhagavan, the nature of the Lord, the nature of Brahman is elaborated in all the 18 chapters and elaborated in all the 108 Upanishads and is also explained in the Veda Suktas, Purusha Sukta, Narayana Sukta, Yachakinchit Jagat Sarvam Drishyate, Shruyate Viva Antarbahishchatat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha. So Annamaya also has that poem, Yantamatramana Yavara Dalachina, Antamatrame Neevu, Parabrahmamu, Shivudu, Vishnu, all these are different versions. But whatever, in fact, he tells later, Ye yathamam prabhajante, tam sthataiva bhajamyaham, mamavatmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. So there is no one single version, but multiple versions, but the result is one and the same, and the symptoms of the result having achieved are also described as one and the same.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Guruji. You have really enlightened us a lot about the Gnana Yoga and the way, which is the appropriate Gnana Yoga we should focus upon, apart from the materialistic yoga, whatever Gnanam we are gaining.
Spiritual knowledge is what is Adhyatma. That is Jnana.
Yeah. Spiritual knowledge. Yes, you are right, Guruji. Anybody else who wants to raise any query or anything else they would like to know? Yes.
Namaste.
Mahodaya, Hari Om.
Dhanyavadaha. Prabhuji, you have given an excellent explanation on Jnana Yoga. What I am want to request you is, when we look in this way, our topic is about science and management we are talking about. We are talking, you are taking from the whatever there in Bhagawadgita. Can we look in this way? What is there actually in science now? What is the root for this science in Bhagavad Gita talked about? Either in a very small portion, maybe a word, maybe a sentence, just like you told skill about management. A Kausalam word gives a lot of skill development and all those things that you explained excellently. Similarly, what are the other things that science subjects, modern science subjects are talked about? So this thing they are all westernized management principles or westernized technical principles. What are these roots in this? Where their roots are there, in which slokam they are there, in what fashion is there? Just like you told, Kausalam gives the root for the skill development. So yes, can we go to our lectures in that fashion so that people know the present science can link up to the roots in Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, I have touched upon this last time also and this time also. Now coming to science, you see, now in this 4th chapter, he has talked of the yajna process. Now in the modern science, today we have reached a situation where the survival of human life on Earth has become a question mark. So much so, the environmental destruction has reached such stages that, the weather modifications are happening, Akala Varsham, Ati Varsham, all these things are happening. And so many things like coronavirus and forest fires, you might be watching in the last 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, so many environmental indications of the destruction of the environment. Of course, people have been talking, the environmental experts have been warning us for a long time that there is a hole in the ozone layer and the carbon dioxide is going so high that there is a global warming effect, there's a greenhouse effect, and there are pollutants like sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. These are destroying our air quality and therefore causing so many diseases and deaths. Now the pollution level is reaching such a high level that new viruses like coronavirus also started coming. So this is the dangerous game which we have played for the last 150, 200 years in the name of science and technology. It all because of the wrong interpretation, wrong modeling of what is science by the early philosophers of science like Bacon and others, who said that science is nothing but extorting, squeezing out maximum possible from nature and for the enjoyment of man. This is the definition of science given by him. And based on that, the entire thing went on. And also the wrong interpretation of monotheism in the Abrahamic religions is in the background for this kind of interpretation. That there is a God who is separate somewhere in some heaven, somewhere sitting on a big chair and with a big beard and old man. And the nature has nothing to do with him. So you exploit, destroy nature as you want. So today we have reached a situation that people are talking of migrating to Mars because Earth is already gone bad completely. This is the danger, most stupid and idiotic process of sun. That is why all the environmentalists and ecologists, they have all started raising a hue and cry in the last 20, 30 years about the, the global warming resulting in the melting of the icebergs, glaciers, and maybe raising the water levels in sea level and then leading to floods. Still, we are not seeing that part. We have seen many other floods due to rain, excessive rains, untimely rains, excessive rains, droughts, famines, weather modification to the extreme. And countries like China also have done experiments to modify the weather. That has resulted in big, big floods, not only in China, but also in other countries. So these are all dangerous games. And in that context, Bhagavad-Gita, Prabhakar Garu, please realize that the Bhagavad-Gita is the only solution provider. Because last time also I told the Yajna concept, today also I told the Yajna concept. Yajnad bhavati parjanyaha, parjanyad anna sambhavaha, annad bhavati bhutani. So unless the rainfall is timely, in a balanced climate weather conditions, either excessive rainfall or depleted rainfall will lead to serious consequences. So the Yajna process is a technology for maintaining the environmental balance. Because all these devatas, because in the third chapter I told previously also, Sahayajna Praja Sashtra Puravacha Prajapati, on my first day lecture, I told this. The science in Bhagavad Gita, I have explained whatever question you have asked. I have given the answer right in the first day lecture. When the creation took place, the devatas, the environmental forces, and the humans were created simultaneously. Sahayajna Praja Srishta Puravacha Prajapati Anena Prasvidhameshavos Vishtakamadu Devan Bhavayata Nevate Deva Bhavayataha Parasparam Bhavayantaha Shreya Paramavapsnata. So the Devas and the Manavas shall live in symbiosis and therefore achieve success. Ishtan Bhogan Yo Deva Dasyante Yajna Bhavita Dairdattan Pradayebhyo Yo Bhuntes Deva Yavasa. Those humans who don't deliver back, don't, return back to the Devas and only consume for themselves are thieves. This is the statement in the Gita. So we are all thieves. We are consuming the natural resources without depleting them once again. We are only depleting. So a repletion process, Yajna Bhavita. The Yajna process is the technology to replete nature, the Devas back to their original strength. Devas means Agni, Vayu, Varuna, so many are there. So this is the technology which Bhagavad Gita is giving. Not Bhagavad Gita means it is not an independent text. It is summary of the Vedas and Upanishads. So the Yajna process is the secret of environmental sustainability. This is the first takeaway. Okay. Now the second takeaway which we have talked about is the personality, attitude of the leadership and the work culture and the attachment, the obsession. What should be your goal? Your goal should not be just profit maximization, maximum money, make. Finally, what you do, you can't eat gold. Like Solomon could not eat gold, whatever he touches. So dharma has to be the goal. So Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya. One of the definitions of dharma is that which is the best for the human society, for the maximum number of people. And also, yato abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhi sa dharma. Dharma is that which leads to welfare and progress together. That is both abhyudaya and nishreyasa, not only abhyudaya. So this perception is not there in the modern scientific community and academic community. Therefore, they are lost. They are in quandary. They are doing whatever things are, horrible things are happening. Corona is one of those results. Corona is created in the lab by the scientific researchers. What can be a greater crime than this? Corona, so no such thing came in the last 1 lakh years of human existence. Human society existed for 1 lakh years. They followed the Veda Samskruti. But now, today, this is the situation within 150, 200 years, which is the history of modern science. I just gave you 2 examples. Plenty will come as we go there.
One more thing I would like to bring to your attention, sir.
Yes.
It's an excellent explanation you have given, sir. That is the first thing I should congratulate you for giving such an excellent explanation. But I would like to put forward one more point for before you is this energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Whether this point has been indicative in the slokam Naina Chindanti Shastrani Nandat Pavakaha, Nainan Chenikla Martha. Whether this and that can be related to, whether this energy that is in the form of Atma that is there, we are saying in Sankhya Yoga, it can neither be destroyed nor be destroyed, it cannot be destroyed by any fashion. That's what it's saying. But that is, has it become the root cause for giving a rule that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed?
Yes, a good question. Again, this principle of law of conservation of matter and law of conservation of energy, both are there. Okay? So, law of conservation of matter and law of conservation of energy, both separately exist in physics. And in Vaiseshika Darshana, both are mentioned clearly by sutras of Kannada. In the Bhagavad-Gita also, they are mentioned in different places. But now, what you have to realize is that law of conservation of matter, because matter cannot be created or destroyed, it cannot transform. With any reaction, it will transform from one form to the other. Similarly, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It will only transform from one form to the other. Heat, electricity, and so on. So now Einstein's the general theory of relativity showed that matter and energy are connected with each other. E is equal to mc square. So energy is equal to matter, mass, multiplied by the square of velocity of light. That much huge. If you convert 1 gram of mass into energy, it will become 9 into 10 to the power of 20 joules. Just imagine. That is c square. C is 3 into 10 to the power of 10 centimeters per second. So if you double it, 9 into 10 to the power of 20, that much units of energy will come from 1 gram of mass converted into energy like in atom bomb or in nuclear reactors. Now the equivalence of matter and energy is brought out in the E is equal to mc square statement of Einstein's general theory of relativity. He has given two theories. One is special theory of relativity, other is general theory. So in the special theory of relativity, he has given the relativity of time and space with a factor of root of 1 minus v square by c square, where v is the velocity of the system in which the observer is traveling and c is the velocity of light. So if v is equal to c by a hypothetical definition, then it will become 0. That means if you travel at velocity of light, your space is 0 and your time is 0. And your mass will be infinite. So it is impossible to reach velocity of light. You can only approximately attempt 10 towards it, but you can never reach. But in case you exceed velocity of light, your time will become negative because root of a negative number is imaginary and square of it is negative and your space also will become negative. So now if you look at these three statements of Einstein, then examine it from the Shruti, from Vedas, Upanishads and Bhagavad-Gita, then you will see that Brahman, Om, is that which is both matter and energy. Because if you say E is equal to mc square, what is that x which is becoming E or m? Because it is same thing, either be m or E. You can observe either as particles, electrons, or you can observe as waves. Same electron diffraction pattern can be observed. Similarly, X-rays, you can see them as particles also. Every particle has a wavelength also. Lambda is equal to h by mv. This is a de Broglie equation. So the dual nature of matter and energy, that means there is some x which is observable as matter, as particles, or as energy, as waves, depending on your observation, equipment, and instruments. So this is the theory of relativity and quantum theory. And this has been explained in Upanishads and in the Bhagavad-Gita also, which was taken in the principal form by the scientists of quantum mechanics, who elaborated with mathematical application, came out with quantum theory, and even Einstein did the same thing. He came out with relativity theory, having got the concepts from Upanishads, and which is summarized in Bhagavad-Gita. So that which is both matter and energy is called Brahman, and that is beyond space and time. Vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha and desha kala janavat chinnam, beyond space and time. Because if you travel at velocity of light, your space is 0 and time is 0. But your energy, matter, equivalent x will be there as it is. So it is only your observation which is changing according to the speed of your observer. So now this Brahman is what is being explained in the Upanishads as Om, and even in the Bhagavad-Gita, Om Ityekakshram Brahma. Mandukya Upanishad has said, Bhagavad-Gita has said, and that Brahman is indestructible. Ainam chindanti shastrani, ainam dahati pahagana, ainam kyadim tyapo, naso shayati marukaha, chedjoyam adakyoyam, akles jo asoshyevacha, nitya sarvagata sthanyam, achaloyam sanatanaha, avyaktoyam achintyoyam, avikaryoyam uchyate. So that Brahmajnana is what is being talked about as Jnana.
Another thing I think that some science is there in this is Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava. Yajnad bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhava. This also has got some science point, I hope. What is your opinion?
I already told you just in the previous query we made. I explained the yajna process.
Okay.
So see, the yajna process is the process of, now I'll give you a more easy example to understand. If you remember a few years back, about 20 years back, there was some artificial rain experiments being done. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
some
sir.
people were going in planes into the clouds and dumping one chemical called silver iodide. You might have heard of this in news.
Yeah.
So the plane goes into the big cloud, cumulus cloud, which is already having a lot of moisture, 100% moisture. Then they put silver iodide. They dump it through planes and the planes go out. It has been done in all countries. Wherever they require rains, they are doing it even today. They are doing. So that silver iodide will attract the water particles and then the rain will come. This is what it is. It's called cloud seeding. Okay. Now I witnessed one ground seeding also. One party came from Gujarat. I witnessed it in Hyderabad also. I talked to them also. Instead of going into the cloud, they are burning silver iodide on the ground in a flame. So when the silver iodide is burnt on the ground, those ions will go up. Obviously, they go up because they are lighter than air, and they go to the clouds and they seed the cloud and rain comes. So cloud seeding there or ground seeding through burning the silver iodide are equivalent. Now I ask that question, other than silver iodide, suppose I burn samidas, or I burn cow ghee, or I burn so many other herbs, or so many other materials. They also generate the nuclei and they also go into the clouds and rain will come. They say, yes, that's exactly what happens in yajna. So yajna bhavati parjanyat annasam. Without rainfall, there will be no cultivation of crops. Annat bhavati bhutani. All beings live on food. And food will be possible only if the green plants grow, and they will grow only if the rain comes. If the rain stops, everything will be finished. All life will end.
The cycle of life is related to science.
It is pure science.
That's what
it has not been even investigated. We have done some experiments. Some people are doing experiments even now. How this exactly happens? Because it is known that when yajna is performed, rain comes. It is the people have observed that much. There was a George Starr to one Agni Chainam in Kerala in the 70s, and he made elaborate observations. He went from California. So
another slogan.
Okay. Was measured in terms of its impact on the biosphere, all the plants and all the animals, flora, fauna, everything, water, and our Pragati resorts, they have performed that yajna and they found the impact on water levels, on groundwater levels, on rains. A dry land became green pasture. Pragati resort is an example by itself. And many other experiments have been done in Kerala and other places. People have come from other countries, they have observed. So a regular performance of yajnas, for which the entire Brahmana caste was created, and the responsibility of the ruling class, whosoever they are, Kshatriyas or kings or present in ruling class, it is their responsibility that the yajnas are conducted regularly. Otherwise, the environment balance is not possible. So this realization has come many times in many experiments, but still common people don't know and they are not aware of what is yajna, how to perform. Of course, in daily yajna you can perform in your own house. Agnihotra, Havana, I can show you one of these days the Agnihotra process which I do every day, morning and evening at sunset and sunrise. It's only 2 minutes process with a few mantras. It is the shortcut of Uposana Kriya. So this everybody can perform irrespective of caste, creed, religion, because there is no chanting of Vedas, nothing. Only 2 mantras are there. And by performing this, it has been noticed that the air will be not only purified, but protected. In the Bhopal gas tragedy, the only one house which got protected from potassium cyanide killing people was the house where they were conducting Agnihotra Yajna for past 20 years. Their entire atmosphere in their house alone was protected. The cyanide vapors could not enter. They saved themselves, all others were affected. This is well known. It came in Hindu newspaper. After that, I went to these people, Agnihotra house and the institute at Akkalkot, Gajanan Maharaj Institute. I went there, and I am doing it every day.
Similarly, probably this sloka also can relate to some science. Dhumena vrite vahni yadhatarsho malena cha yadolbena urta garbha tathatina damovatam. This also can be related to some science.
Yes, he is only giving the similarities with Ajnana and Jnana. So, because Dhuma and Agni, Dhuma will cover up the Agni. So, when you are at a far off place, suppose you see some Dhuma, smoke, then you can easily conclude without any doubts whatsoever that there is fire. Agni is there. So, Dhuma and Agni are connected with each other, definitely, and no doubt. And it will cover up the Agni because if you are not able to observe it closely. So that's what he's giving the example. But the entire, I would again say this sloka or any other sloka with similar descriptions is referring to the yajna process only. So Agni is Agni Mele Purohitam. The first word of the Rig Veda starts with Agni. And the yajna process is related to Agni only. And the entire Vedas are meant, the Karma Kanda is all meant for yajna only, nothing else. The Jnana Kanda is Upanishads. But without the karma, jnana alone is not possible. Sarva karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate. So he's talking of a supreme level, much higher level of jnana, beyond the karma, which is prerequisite requirement for acquiring jnana. And that karma is nothing but yajna karma.
You are covered up to fifth chapter now, or you are covered up afterwards also? You are covered up to 5th chapter now in Gita?
Sorry?
Have you covered up to 5th chapter, or can I talk about 7th chapter also?
Which one? Yajna?
No, not yajna. Anything on the what you have covered till now in 3 chapters.
No, only 4th chapter I have touched today. I have covered
okay.
4 chapters. I have dropped 1st chapter because it is Arjuna Vishad Yoga. I covered 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Today I finished.
I got a question from 7th chapter. That's why I'm asking whether I can touch that 7th chapter.
No, you can ask, no problem. I know all the entire Bhagavad Gita. Ask any question.
No, not that you don't know. I don't want to advance that what you're going to talk. That's
You can ask it.
We are going to talk. Why should I talk now? That's what I'm
Yes, we'll talk at the later. Any other questions or discussions or statements or comments, brothers?
Now that's how we'd like to. I request all my experts, just or something like that. This should become a science and Gnana platform, science platform and management platform from Gita. So experts like Prahlad Kumar Garu would also can participate in these things and enlighten the people who doesn't know that much knowledge what we have.
I would put it this way. You see, the Gita will give something which is of greater value for science itself. Today we all know what is science. We are all scientists of different levels, different subjects. So what is not there, what is not known, what is not understood in modern science is available in the Gita because it is coming from the Vedas.
And that's what to be exposed. That's what I want to say by discussions. That's what I requested the experts. Please, sir. Please.
That is the question you raised about conservation of energy and conservation of matter and all that.
Yeah.
Whether it is there in our Vedic science. If you refer to Brahma Sutras 2.2.42, there is a specific Brahma Sutra which says Utpatti Asambhavat. Therefore, ex nihilo creation is impossible. That means you cannot create something out of nothing. You cannot create something out of total, perfect and absolute vacuum. That Utpatti Asambhava Sutra has been wrongly, in my opinion, has been wrongly ascribed to different types of Upanishad sources, both by Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, and Ramanujacharya. They have given different interpretations based on their religious understanding of that sutra. But because if you take directly to your original source, that is Rigveda, and if you see all that, whatever is that is talked about in Nasadiya Sukta and other Srishti Suktas, Utpatti Asambhavat simply tells us that you have nothing you can create out of total, perfect, absolute vacuum. And therefore, it is clearly a statement of conservation of energy, conservation of life, conservation of matter, and conservation of all the three primary sources. As such, and again, I am sorry to say, but this yajna is not totally what we perform as ritually as yajna, but actually your whole process, Agni, is not just Agni, but it has got three forms: Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi. All the three things specifically describe his nature of purification of all the sources where he is supposed to be born and grow and manifest himself. That is on the earth, in the intermediate space, and in the Dhyuloka. Therefore, the very nature of Agni is not simply, it is our yajna and other things we perform in our rituals using all the samitas, ghee, and all those things. They are actually something like simple sample purificatory rites. But original purificatory rites are meant for cleaning the atmosphere, cleaning the resources, perfectly pure and let us say useful, always in a shuchi condition, or making them shuddha. Therefore, your even other sources, when we talk of other things also, your whether all the other purificatory processes also, your Panchamaha Yajna also is a process of seeding in different forms of sources and keeping the produce clean and healthier. Therefore, this is not just simple ritual performance of our yajna at home or in community, but that is only a symbolic process whereby we make use of techniques and our knowledge of the external things and their capacity to clean, purify the atmosphere in our house, in our body, and in the surrounding areas. This is my understanding of this. And Utpatti Asambhavat is very clear, and it says specifically that it is meant for, it is a scientific statement of conservation of every form of energy and life and matter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So that's how I would like to link up the slokas into this modern science and see that people, other people do not know this. You all can expect this. The experts, people who knows Gita very well and who knows science also very well, can link up both properly and enlighten the other people who doesn't have this type of concepts. So that is the purpose of Veda Samskruti Samiti, to make the people more and more confident and lose their inferiority complex within them. That everything they are learning hardest.
I agree with what
my suggestion is, one minute, sir. My suggestion is we are actually taking secondary and tertiary sources as our authorities, and instead of we are overlooking or neglecting our primary source, which is Rigveda, and the Asya Vamiya Sukta, or so-called Suparna Sukta, has got nearly 30 different sciences in its 52 mantras. Similarly, the Atma Sukta, Pratya Sukta, Skamba Sukta, the Sharira Sukta of Adharvana Veda, they are scientific statements beyond any doubt.
Right, sir. The idea of taking Bhagawadgita, the tertiary source, is to slowly link up to the primary source. It's not that, because if you talk about Veda, everybody will keep your mind blank. But if you talk about Bhagavad Gita, many people come forward because they know about Bhagavad Gita to some extent. Rigveda, many people do not know. That's why if you talk about Rigveda only, then it may totally isolate. It may not have a subject. That may talk like that. So it is better to bring them slowly to that level of primary source.
Atharvana Veda is purely practical, sir.
There are primary sources. I agree. There are primary sources.
No, Atharvana Veda is purely practical. It is completely practical oriented science, Atharvana Veda.
Yes, sir. We should talk about that. We should talk about that adequately. And slowly we should come to that level of understanding. Prabhu, you were telling something.
Yeah, I was saying that the law of conservation of matter and energy, as I already told you, it is mentioned in the Vaiseshika Darshan also. I agree with what has been said about Brahma Sutras. I'm not very sure about what has been said and what has not been said. But Vaiseshika clearly, because I have written a book on it, I know it clearly mentions the possibility of generation of energy or matter from nothingness, and also the impossibility of perpetual motion and various other physical principles are explained in the Vaiseshika Sutras. That much I can tell you. Of course, Veda is the source of all knowledge of all science. Asyavamasa Sutta and also Nasadiya Sutta. These are very profound. There is no doubt and question about their profound, but the issue is about the interpretation. The main problem in the Vedas proper is the interpretation. If you look at one interpretation, it will be different from another interpretation. There are hundreds of people who have given hundreds of interpretations for the Vedic mantras, and they don't agree with each other. So there is a big question mark on what is and what is not. But I'm very happy that people like him are able to confidently express these ideas, and we would like to have more detailed investigations and study on those things jointly with.
That's correct, sir. That's what the research in Vedic sciences is required. Let us progress on that. At this, I use this platform to all the other science pundits who are in the group or who got their friends to discuss in these lines. Or take a modern science and what is there in our old decisions. If you know yourself, come forward and explain others. If you don't know, then kindly at least raise your questions to the people who can answer, who knows the Shastras, can say where it is. It's because many people do not know what roots are there in our science, in our Sanskrit Vangmaya. So that is to be brought forward properly and make everybody know these things. For that purpose, this platform is trying to struggle, and I hope people will cooperate and come forward with having some homework, reading some Shastra, science subjects, and come forward with their doubts to find out what is there in Shastra, what roots are there in Shastra, concerning to that science. So
no, there was very major issue in major issue.
Yeah.
What the major issue is whether it is correct to expect everything in the Vedas or in Upanishads or in Bhagavad-Gita or in Brahma Sutras to be explained only in terms of modern science, because that framework is different. This framework is different. Even with Ayurveda and allopathy, it is not correct. Is it correct to explain Ayurveda in terms of allopathy? Because allopathy has its own framework. Ayurveda has its own framework. Ayurveda has a framework which is consistent with the Vedas, with the Upanishads, with Bhagavad Gita, and with Vaiseshika Darshana, with Atharvaveda. All that is a single connected whole. Whereas the modern science, which is 150, 200 years old, is having its own framework. Now, even in case of medicine, we have different medical frameworks. We have Siddha, Unani, Homeopathy. Homeopathy's framework is just opposite of allopathy. So allopathy was borrowed of Ayurveda, but now it is a different framework. It doesn't accept or doesn't, is not consistent with the Ayurveda framework. So these are very delicate issues involved. So we cannot say it is necessary that, because if you say that all the Sanskrit literature is explainable in modern science terms only, then it is a fallacy. Because modern science came very recently and it has got its own framework, its own truths and realities and observations and so on. But this has been there for a very long time, and there is a different perspective. So when you say Agni, it is not just fire. It is energy principle in Vaiseshika. Out of the, Prithvi, Apas, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, Tikkala, Mana, Atma, Dravya, 9 Dravyas, the Agni there is not just fire. It is energy principle as a whole. And similarly, Prithvi is not just earth. It is not just solidity. It is something more than that. And the Mantra Shastra is also coming. So why Prithvi has a Lam as Bijakshara? Why Ram is the Bijakshara for Agni? These are not understood in modern science. Modern science doesn't go beyond certain level. The Adi Bhautika level, that to a particular framework, limited model, it will operate. It works. But there are many other levels. The Mantra Shastra is Adi Daivika level. And then we have the Adhyatma level. So all these are not possible to be interpreted in terms of adhibhautika level, whose small part is covered in modern science. So we have to go beyond modern science. We have to cover modern science and we have to go beyond, because if you take Yoga Darshana, it is all about mind and self and thought and consciousness and conditioning. Modern science doesn't deal with all this. So modern psychology deals only a few things. So this interconnection is very important, but our ancient sciences were far more advanced in terms of their time scale spent, evolution time, and their complexity and their implication. But the interpretation is the main issue.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. That's what I wanted to bring forward. What modern science, out of so much development has been happening in modern science, a lot of development. If you see the developed countries, how much science they have developed, and what NASA is doing and all those things, the tremendous development is there, much more than what we all know. But all these things are, that's all, that something more is there in our Shastras than that. That's what one point you are telling. It's not only that much it is there. But to bring them to that level, whether these roots are there in our Shastras or not, what roots are there, where are there, that knowledge, if you have, if our children have, if our youth have, that will be beneficial for the people to do further research and to use our Shastras for better development of science in future. At the same time, attain the Gnana in receiving those Prakriti and Purusha combined way of Jnana, both. That will be helpful for the people to have combined knowledge, whereas the modern science talk about only the Prakriti knowledge, not Paramatma knowledge. The Padartha and Paramartha, both combinedly talked about, then only it is worthwhile to talk. So that's what we should bring it out and make the younger generations know what is the wealth we have, what is the strength we have in our Shastras. That is the main purpose of Veda Samskruti is interested to do. I request all the stalwarts like you, experts like you, to bring forward these things and help us. Dhanyavadaha. Anybody else would like to speak? Hello, Kumar, anything you would like to add? Anybody else would like to add?
Yeah. One small amendment, that is, Dr. Prabhu has talked about there cannot be any unique interpretation of Veda. That is what he was saying. But same thing, same problem applies to all our Upanishads, all our Brahma Sutras, and all our Darshanas. There have been many conflicting commentaries, even on, let us say, Bhagawadgita also. There are 600 commentaries available as of today on Bhagawadgita. And if you look at the commentary given by Adi Shankara, or Ramanuja, or Madhva, or Chaitanya, there have been so many interpretations. And even the very first chapter, which Dr. Prabhu says, it doesn't have much, but it has got only Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Paramahamsa Yogananda has given a wonderful interpretation of the first chapter, connecting it with psychological components of entire human system. Therefore, we cannot just afford to, let us say, the question of interpretation, it depends upon what level we have reached in understanding that. Therefore, we cannot say that there is a unique interpretation of even of Bhagavad Gita also. There have been many conflicting interpretations. Therefore, whatever applies to Bhagavad Gita can be equally applied to, let us say, Rig Veda also. There are at least 12 commentaries on Rig Veda which have been given earlier before Sayana and before even Ananda Tirtha, Madhava Tirtha, and so many others also have given a number of good interpretations of Rig Veda, which contain good seeds, methods, and technology of how to go about interpreting Rig Veda. And similarly, there are so many rules which have been framed in Purva Mimamsa, which says how to interpret Rudi, Lakshana, Yoga, Parama Yoga, Mahayoga, Rudi Yoga, and Mahayoga Rudi, and all these things. And even Bhaskara Sharma, who has talked about in Lalita Sahasranama, he has given 15 different techniques of correct interpretation of Vedic terms. Therefore, we have to go by that and go to the roots of Rig Veda, so that even Asyavamiya Sutta, that is simply, I am that not knowledgeable, my very limited knowledge of that, but still it contains cosmology, cosmogony, astrology, astronomy, linguistics, psychology, and so many other Shastras in that 52 mantras of Asyavamya. Similarly, Atharvana Veda has got Rohita Suktas and Atma Sukta, Sharira Sukta, Deha Sukta, Anna Sukta, Anna Sukta, and so many Suktas. Even Ambrani Sukta of Rigveda is a very, very powerful system whereby the entire creation process is delineated in terms of Prakriti or root Prakriti, which calls herself Ambrani Devi, Vagambrani. Therefore, it is not just that even whatever essence is there in Upanishads has been codified in or summarized in Bhagawadgita, but the roots are not in these, let us say, tertiary or quaternary sources, but the roots have to be searched for in Rigveda. But that Rigveda itself is not available in its original version. Whatever we have got now is simply a small amount of original Rigveda. That is what I want to.
Very true, very true. I agree with you. I agree. It's a very challenging situation, but somewhere we have to begin and we have to go on exploring, we have to go on trying. There is no other alternative.
I'm not questioning that. Your let us say, presentation of Bhagavad Gita is wonderful. I fully congratulate you the way you have interpreted it. It is a wonderful interpretation. But the only thing is that I'm saying when you talked about that conservation of energy and matter, I was tempted to talk about it.
What you mean to say is better to link up the primary source also. That's what you would link up. It's very nice. So, talking about Arjuna Vishada Yoga, it's not that just the psychology. It is a question of talking about the natural responsibility as a relative, as a brother, as a son, as a grandson. What are his as a Shishya, what are his responsibilities has been explained in Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It's not that nothing is not there, nothing is there in Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It is totally the human responsibilities.
Sir, Prabhakar Garu, the very first shloka, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsava, and on that single shloka, Paramahamsa Yogananda has given 4 pages of explanation.
Yes.
Interpreting it as components of human psychology, human body, and human mind.
And the family relations.
Pangri Acharya is there. Pangri Acharya of Madhva Parampara, he has given about 8 pages of explanation on that single shloka. What is Ratha and what is Dharmakshetra? What is Kurukshetra? Who is Dhritarashtra? Who is Sanjaya? Every name has got a special significance and a special interpretation.
Yeah. No, I am trying to bring out the point that Arjuna, the way Arjuna is weeping, it gives the family relations a person should have. What type of aspect you should have. See, you forgot Dharma there. As a Kshatriya Dharma, you forgot there. But as a family Dharma, he has told so many family Dharmas there. And what will happen if whole society, what are the losses of war? That also you are told there. What will happen to the country? What will happen to the public after war? That also he has told there. So these are all things samajika problems he has explained there. It's not that just a psychological phenomena. It is a question of natural phenomena. What is going to happen for samajam after the war? That's what he has explained there.
If you go to Amshavatara Parva, Arjuna is a collective of 6 Indras of the 6 Manvantaras, and Krishna is the first Indra of the first Manvantara, Swayambhu Manvantara. He is Yajnanamaka Indra himself, who is again taken birth in the form of Narayana and all that. But Arjuna is as a Jiva, as a collective Jiva. Indra is a symbol of collective Jiva. He represents 6 other Indras, totally 7 Gnanendriyas of a human body, human being. That is the basic representation. And when the Indriyas are confused, when Indriyas are not able to reach the Buddhi Tattva, and that Buddhi Tattva is coming out as a Sarathi in the form of Krishna and guiding the whole point here of all the 6 Indras. Therefore, it is not, Bhagavad Gita has not been simply put there to give us a Arjuna Vishada Yoga, but actually to provide, let us say, clarify all the doubts for whosoever is likely to face in his real life. That is the point of Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Thank you, sir. Sorry for disturbing.
No, welcome, sir. We are blessed by your presence. Yes, okay. Prabhu sir, shall we close this? Anybody else would like to speak, or shall we close? Prabhu sir, shall we close?
Yeah, actually, there is no end to this kind of knowledge. It is a vast literature, Vedas and so many other Shastras and their commentaries. Now the interpretations also are, they're like more like mental exercises. Some people said Pandavas are nothing but Panchabhutas. If you dismiss like that, then there is no story of Mahabharata at all. Actually, it is a historical event that actually happened. I have been there. I've seen many spots. There are many evidences. So interpretations can be many, but the historical events took place. Of course, they might have taken place in a slightly different way than what we know. But then we respect various interpretations. I mean, over centuries, it's not a one-day affair. It has taken thousands of years, minimum 5,000 years to have passed. And so many interpretations have come on Bhagawadgita, not to speak of the interpretations on the Vedas. So it is more than a lifetime, many lifetimes task even to study all these things. So what we are trying to do is just to get a kind of a perspective glimpse. That's all is possible in a lecture like this.
Shall I
Yes,
expect
sir.
anybody
One
else
cannot
to
be
get?
one cannot have all studied all interpretations, sir. Some would have studied something, and some of the other would have read some interpretation. So whatever is their ideas we can have, but you see now the Sav is explaining Bhagavad Gita. We will restrict to it, and Vedas and other things. Anyway, we will have another session where we can have the interpretations of Vedas and other things, sir. That is my idea.
Yeah, it's correct, but nothing wrong in some knowledge
Oh,
is
nothing
there.
wrong.
Nothing,
Yeah,
adding
yeah.
some knowledge to that relating to the primary source. Nothing wrong.
Yeah, correct.
It is connected. It is all connected.
Not
Connected.
If you could establish the link, nothing like that. Very good. So before anybody would like to speak, anybody before I close it, then shall I ask Dr. Visala Shungaru to give her views, please? Dr. Visala Shungaru.
నమస్కారం అండి. సభాయై నమః. మాట్లాడినా?
Please talk.
ఇవాళ చాలా నిజంగా శ్రీ పంచమి అత్యంత పవిత్రమైన దినం. మనకి ఇవాళ డాక్టర్ ప్రభు గారితో పాటు శ్రీమతి అఖిల గారు కూడా భగవద్గీత గురించి చెప్పడం, అందులోనూ చిన్న పిల్లలకి నేర్పిస్తున్నాము, చాలా మంది చిన్నపిల్లల నుంచి పెద్దవారి దాకా అని చెప్పడం మనకి చాలా ఆనందదాయకము. తర్వాత ఇవాళ డాక్టర్ CSR ప్రభు గారు ఎంత చక్కని ఉపన్యాసం ఇచ్చి ఎన్ని మంచి పాయింట్స్ మనకి చెప్పారో, అంతకంటే ఎక్కువ చెప్పేలాగా మన వేద సంస్కృతి సమితి అధ్యక్షులైన డాక్టర్ ఆకెళ్ల ప్రభాకరరావు గారు ఇచ్చిన సజెషన్స్, అంటే ఇవన్నీ కూడా రాబోయే క్లాసుల్లో డాక్టర్ CSR ప్రభు గారు చెప్పబోయేవే అయినా కూడా ఒక్కొక్క శ్లోకాన్ని మెన్షన్ చేసి భగవద్గీతలోంచి ఉటంకిస్తూ దానిలో ఉన్న సైన్స్ ని ఇలా అడిగేటప్పటికెల్లా CSR ప్రభు గారు అసలు ఎంత బాగా, ఎంత చక్కగా మనము ఏ పర్పస్ సర్వ్ అవ్వాలనుకున్నామో దానిని ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేసేలా చక్కగా చెప్పినందుకు ఆయనకి ఇద్దరికీ కూడా, మన ఆకెళ్ల ప్రభాకర్ రావు గారికి ప్రభు గారికి కూడా హృదయపూర్వకమైన కృతజ్ఞత, అభినందనలు, అభివందనాలు కూడా తెలియజేస్తున్నాను. అలాగే శ్రీకంఠం ప్రహ్లాద కుమార్ గారు, ఆయన మహామేధావి అనిపిస్తుంది ఆయన మాటలు విన్నప్పుడల్లా. మన వేద విజ్ఞానం, వైదిక జ్ఞానము ఆయనకి మన హిందువులందరికీ ఎలా ఉండాలో అలా ఆయన చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి అందులో నిష్ణాతులు అయినట్టుగా అనిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది. ఆయనకి కూడా చాలా కృతజ్ఞతలు, నమస్కారాలు, హృదయపూర్వకమైన నమస్కారాలు. ఆయన కూడా వేదములలో ఉన్నటువంటి వైదిక జ్ఞానంలో ఉన్న ఏవైనా అంశాల గురించి మనకి చెప్తే బాగుంటుంది అని అనుకుంటున్నాను. తర్వాత ఇవాళ డాక్టర్ CSR ప్రభు గారు ప్రవృత్తి ధర్మం, నివృత్తి ధర్మాలని గురించి చెప్తూ ప్రారంభించి కర్మయోగాన్ని చాలా బాగా, చాలా చక్కగా, అంటే క్వాలిటీ మేనేజ్మెంట్ సిస్టమ్ అని అంటూ దాన్ని గురించి చాలా వివరంగా చెప్పారు. అసలు మనం చేసే పనులను కనుక పరమాత్మ చూస్తున్నాడు అనే భావంతో మనం చేస్తే ఎంత శ్రద్ధగా చేస్తాము. అంటే చేసే పనులు కర్మణ్యేవాధికారస్తే మా ఫలేషు కదాచన అని చెప్పి ఆయన వివరించారు కదా గీతలో ఉన్న శ్లోకం. పర్ఫెక్షన్ వస్తుంది ఎప్పుడు కూడా మనం భగవంతుడు గమనిస్తున్నాడు, ఒక ఆఫీసర్ చూస్తున్నాడు అనగానే ఆఫీస్ లో ఉన్న ఎలాంటి వాళ్ళైనా కూడా ఆ వర్క్ ని వాళ్ళు రోజు చేసేదానికంటే పర్ఫెక్షన్ తో చేస్తారు. అంటే పరిపూర్ణత అందులో కనిపించేలాగా పనులని చేస్తారు కదా. అలాగే మనం కేవలం పనులు చేస్తే వచ్చే ఫలితం మీద దృష్టి పెట్టకుండా ఏ ఫలం వచ్చినా పర్వాలేదు, కర్మలు చెయ్యాలి ఎక్సలెంట్ గా చక్కగా, అది తన కర్తవ్యం కనుక చెయ్యాలి అనే భావనతో చెయ్యడం ముఖ్యం. మనకి కర్మలంటే కామ్య కర్మలు, అకర్మ, వికర్మ, సుకర్మ, నిష్కామ కర్మలు, ఎన్ని కర్మలు, శాస్త్ర విహిత కర్మలని గురించి మనకి భగవద్గీత చెప్తోంది. ఇక్కడ కర్మలు అకర్మ, అకర్మలు కర్మ అనే శ్లోకాన్ని చాలా అద్భుతంగా చక్కగా వివరించారు. దాన్ని కర్మలు అకర్మని చూడటం, అకర్మలు కర్మని చూడటం ఎలా అన్న దానిని మనం కనుక ఇంకొంచెం విశ్లేషించుకుంటే ఇంకా బాగుంటుంది అనిపిస్తోంది. కర్మలు
గీతా మకరందంలో మంచిగా ఇచ్చారు, చక్కగా చాలా బాగా ఇచ్చారు దానికి.
గీతా మకరందంలో కదా. అవునండి, గీతా మకరందంలో చాలా వివరంగా మనకి చక్కగా ఇచ్చారు. కర్మణ్యకర్మ యః పశ్యేత్ అకర్మణి చ కర్మ యః స బుద్ధిమాన్ మనుష్యేషు స యుక్తః కృత్స్న కర్మకృత్. అసలు ఈ పద్యమే, శ్లోకమే చాలా అద్భుతంగా అనిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది. అంటే కర్మలలో అకర్మని, అకర్మలలో కర్మని చూడగలిగిన వాడు శ్రేష్ఠుడుట, బుద్ధిమంతుట, తెలివైన వాడట. అలాంటి వాడు అన్ని రకాల కర్మలలో కూడా అంటే ఎన్ని పనులు చేస్తూనే ఉన్నా చెయ్యని వాడు అవుతాడు అంటే ఆయనే యోగి. యోగి లాంటి వాడు అని చెప్పారంటే మనం ఎన్నో రకాల కర్మలు, శారీరకంగా కర్మలు చేస్తాం, మానసికంగా కర్మలు చేస్తాము, విహిత కర్మలని చేస్తాము. అంటే శాస్త్ర విహిత కర్తవ్య కర్మలు మాత్రమే కర్మలు అనాలి తప్ప రోజువారీ చేసే పనులు కర్మలు కావు కదా. అవి కేవలం ఇన్స్టింక్ట్స్ అని అంటామే, అలా యాంత్రికంగా చేసే కర్మలు. కానీ మన జీవిక నడవటానికి మనం చేసే కర్మలని కూడా మనం కర్మలు అని అంటాము. ఎప్పుడు అవి శాస్త్ర విహిత కర్మలు అవుతాయో అప్పుడు. శాస్త్ర నిషిద్ధ కర్మలు పాపకర్మలు, వాటిని వికర్మలు అంటాం కనుక వాటి జోలికి వెళ్ళకూడదు. అసలు త్యాజ్యాలు కదా. ఇంకా మనం యజ్ఞాలు కానీ, దానాలు కానీ, తపస్సు కానీ, ఇలాంటి కర్మలు మన వర్ణాశ్రమ ధర్మ కర్తవ్యాలు, మనకి ఏమేమి కర్మలు చేయాలో వాటిని ఆసక్తి లేకుండా, ఫలాపేక్ష లేకుండా, అహంకారము మమకారం అనే భావాలు లేకుండా కనుక ఆచరిస్తే అది సరైన ఆచరణ అవుతుంది. దాని వల్ల ఇహపర లోకాల్లో మనకి సుఖం వస్తుంది, శుభాలు కలుగుతాయి, భగవద్ అనుగ్రహం ఉంటుంది. దాని వల్లే మనం జన్మ రాహిత్యాన్ని కూడా పొందగలుగుతాము. పునర్జన్మ లేనటువంటి, పునరావృత్తి లేని శాశ్వత పదాన్ని మనం చెందగలుగుతాము. అంటే సంసార బంధాల నుంచి మనకి ముక్తి లభిస్తుంది. కనుక ఎవరు ఈ సత్యాన్ని గ్రహించి కర్మలలో అకర్మని చూస్తారో, అంటే ఇలా చెయ్యటమే కర్మలు అకర్మని చూడటం, ఇలా కర్మలు చేసిన వాళ్ళు చెయ్యని వాళ్ళే అవుతారు అని మనకి భగవద్గీత చెప్తోంది. ఇలా కర్మలు అకర్మని చూసే వారికి ఆసక్తి కానీ, ఫలాపేక్ష, ఏ పని చేసినా దాని ఫలం పొందాలనే అపేక్ష, ఫలేచ్ఛ, అసలు పొందాలనే కోరికే ఉండకూడదు, మమకారాలు ఉండకూడదు. ఇంకా ఏ ఫలం వస్తే ఏమవుతుందో అనే ఆ భావాలే లేకుండా యథాయోగ్యంగా వాళ్ళు విహిత కర్మలను ఆచరించాలి. అలా కనుక మనం కర్మలు చేస్తే అప్పుడు ఆ కర్మలు మనకి అంటవు కనుక అతను యోగి అన్నాడు, అతన్ని కృతకృత్యుడు అని అంటారు. అంటే అలాంటి వాళ్ళు ఏ పని చేసినా చెయ్యని వాళ్ళు అవుతారు, శ్రీకృష్ణ పరమాత్మ లాగా అన్నమాట. ఇది కర్మలు అకర్మని చూడటం అంటారు. ఇంకా అకర్మ అంటే కర్మ లేకపోవడం, అంటే కర్మ చెయ్యకపోవటం కదా. అకర్మలు కర్మను చూడటము అంటే అసలు కర్మ అనేది చెయ్యకుండా ఎవరు ఒక్క క్షణం కూడా ఉండలేరు కదా. నా జాతు తిష్టతి అని చెప్తారే, నహి కశ్చిత్ క్షణమపి జాతు తిష్టత్య కర్మ కృత్ కార్యే ఏదో కార్యే తే అవశ్య కర్మ సర్వ ప్రకృతి జైర్గుణై అని భగవద్గీతలోనే చెప్పారు. కనుక కర్మ చెయ్యకుండా ఉండలేరు. కానీ అకర్మలు కర్మని చూడటము అంటే ఏమిటంటేట, భౌతికంగా మనం కర్మలు చెయ్యకపోయినా ఒకవేళ మానసికంగా భావిస్తామనుకోండి, ఆ మానసికమైన భావనకి ఎక్కువ ఫలం అని చెప్తారు మనకి చేసే కర్మల కంటే. కనుక మనస్సుతో వాటి గురించి ఆలోచిస్తూ, ఇంద్రియ వస్తు విషయాల గురించి ఆలోచిస్తూ ఉంటే అది కర్మ, అకర్మలో కూడా కర్మను చూడడమే అవుతుంది. మనం సామాజికమైన మన ధర్మాలు ఉంటాయి, వర్ణాశ్రమ ధర్మాలు ఉంటాయి, మన బాధ్యతలు ధర్మాలు ఉంటాయి కదా. ఇవన్నీ కూడా చేయటం శ్రమ అని ఏ కారణం వల్ల కూడా వదిలేయకూడదు అని కూడా ఈ శ్లోకంలోనే పరమాత్మ చెప్తున్నారు మనకి. అంటే త్రికరణ శుద్ధిగా మనం కర్మల ఫలాలని త్యజించాలి, కర్మలని కర్తవ్య కర్మలుగా ఆచరించాలి. ఇలా అకర్మను మనం అహంకార మమకారాలు లేకుండా కనుక కర్మలు చేస్తే అవి అకర్మలు అవుతాయి. అకర్మలు కర్మని చూడటం అంటే కూడా ఇదే. అంటే ఏ కర్మని చేస్తే మనోవాకాయ కర్మలని మనం త్యజించాలి. మానసికంగా నేను ఏ కర్మ చేయటం లేదు, చేసేది చేయించేది పరమాత్మ అనే భావన ఉన్నప్పుడు కర్మలు చేస్తూ ఉంటే అవి అతనికి అకర్మలే అవుతాయి. కానీ అందులో కర్మని చూస్తాడు. ఎలా చూస్తాడు అంటే అది తన కర్తవ్యం గనక పరమాత్మ చేయమంటే తాను కర్తవ్యాన్ని చేయమన్నాడంటే వచ్చి చెప్పడం కాదు, శాస్త్రంలో ఉంది కనుక మనం చెయ్యాలి. కనుక దానిని కూడా మనం అకర్మలు కర్మ చేసినటువంటి వాడు అనుకోవచ్చు. అంటే కర్మలు అకర్మని దర్శించి ఆచరించిన వాళ్ళు చాలా మంది ఉన్నారు అని మనకి మన వైదిక వాంగ్మయం నుంచి తెలుస్తుంది. మనకి జనక మహారాజు ఉన్నారు, ప్రహ్లాదుడు ఉన్నాడు, పృథు చక్రవర్తి, ఇంకా ధర్మరాజు, తర్వాత అంబరీష చక్రవర్తి, ఇలాంటి వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా అన్ని కర్మలు చేస్తూనే ఉన్నారు. కానీ వారందరూ కర్మలు అకర్మని దర్శించిన వారు, అకర్మలు కర్మని దర్శించిన వారే వాళ్ళు. అంటే వాళ్ళు ఎలాంటి ఫలాపేక్ష లేకుండా, ఆసక్తి లేకుండా కర్తవ్య కర్మలని నిష్ఠతో ఆచరించారు. కర్మసు కౌశలం అని చెప్పారు కదా, యోగ కర్మసు కౌశలం. యోగం అంటే కర్మలలో కుశలత్వం, కౌశల్యంతో చేయడం. వాళ్ళు అలాగే చేశారు, తర్వాత యోగంతోనే చేశారు. కనుక కర్మలలో అకర్మని దర్శించాలి, అకర్మలో కర్మని దర్శించాలి. అలా ఈ శ్లోకం మనకి అద్భుతమైనటువంటి భావాన్ని చెప్తోంది చాలా చక్కగా. ఇంకా మనకి జ్ఞానం యొక్క ప్రాముఖ్యతని గురించి కూడా మన డాక్టర్ సిఎస్ఆర్ ప్రభు గారు చెప్పారు. అన్నిటికంటే యజ్ఞము యొక్క గొప్పదనాన్ని కిందటి వారం కూడా చెప్పారు మనకి. ఈతడవు కూడా యజ్ఞము యొక్క ప్రాముఖ్యతని, మన వాతావరణం అంతా ఎలా పవిత్రమవుతుందో, శక్తివంతం అవుతుందో, ఆ వర్షాలు పడే ప్రాసెస్ మొత్తం మనకి యజ్ఞ విధిలో ఎలా ఉందో దాన్నంతని కూడా మనకి చాలా చక్కగా వివరించి చెప్పారు. ఇంకా ఇలాంటి అంటే కర్మ గురించి, జ్ఞానాన్ని గురించిన భగవద్గీతలో ఉన్న శ్లోకాలలో ఉన్న ఆధునిక విజ్ఞాన అంశాలు ఏమేమి ఉన్నాయో, ఏ విధంగా వాటిని అన్వయించవచ్చో, ఇవన్నీ కూడా నేటి యువతకి, ముఖ్యంగా మనందరికీ కూడా, మానవులందరికీ కూడా తెలియవలసిన అవసరం ఉంది. ఇంకా ప్రహ్లాద్ కుమార్ గారు పావక పవమాన శుచి అనే నామాలతో ఉన్న అగ్నిహోత్రుని యొక్క గొప్పదనాన్ని, ఆ ప్రాముఖ్యతని మనకి చెప్పారు. భూలోకం, పువర్లోకం, సువర్లోకాలన్నీ కూడా పవిత్రం చేసేవాడే అగ్ని. కనుక అలాంటి అగ్నిహోత్రుని ఆరాధించవలసిన అవసరము, కర్తవ్యము మనందరిదిని. ఈ యజ్ఞాన్ని గురించి భగవద్గీతలో చెప్పిన ఆ సత్యాన్ని మానవులందరూ కూడా గ్రహించి దాని వల్ల లబ్ధి పొందాలి అని మన పర్యావరణాన్నే కాదు, మన మనస్సులని కూడా శుద్ధి చేసుకుని మానసికమైన పవిత్రత, పరిశుద్ధత, జ్ఞాన దీప్తి మనం అందరం కలిగి ఉండాలి. అంటే ఇలాంటి అద్భుతమైన ప్రవచనాలు కానీ, ఉపన్యాసాలు కానీ మనకి చాలా అవసరం. డాక్టర్ సిఎస్ఆర్ ప్రభు గారికి అనేక కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేస్తూ, డాక్టర్ ప్రభాకర రావు గారికి ఇలాంటి వెబినార్లని ఆర్గనైజ్ చేస్తున్నందుకు హృదయపూర్వకంగా కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేస్తూ, నాకు ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చినందుకు నమస్కారాలు, కృతజ్ఞతలు. స్వస్తి.
నమస్తే ఆచార్య. ఆచార్య నమస్తే.
Please talk.
I am Mrs. Bapanamba. I am staying in Bangalore. And your explanation of Bhagavad Gita on scientific grounds is wonderful, Acharya. simply super. Really, I'm feeling so fortunate to be in this webinar. I am a lay person. I don't have that much knowledge. Would you please explain those mantras through which we can keep our home pollution free, Acharya?
Prabhu sir.
Actually,
డాక్టర్
this,
ప్రభు గారు ఒక్క మాట అండి, నిజంగా నేను కూడా ఇప్పుడు ఆవిడ అడిగింది నేను అడగాలనుకున్నాను. యాక్చువల్లీ మీరు ప్రతిరోజు ఉదయము సాయంత్రము సంధ్యా సమయాల్లో సంధ్యావందనప్పుడు 2 నిమిషాలలో కొన్ని మంత్రాలతోనే చేస్తున్నానన్నారే, ఆ అద్భుతమైన మంత్రాలను కనుక మీరు మా అందరికీ కూడా పంచగలిగితే మన పిల్లలకి మన ఇళ్లలో వాళ్ళకి కూడా వాటిని చెప్తే అలా 2 నిమిషాలు అనగానే పిల్లలకు ఆసక్తి ఉంటుంది, ఆ యజ్ఞ కర్మని వదలకుండా చేస్తారు అనే ఆశ. మీరు వాటిని కొంచెం మాకు కూడా చెప్పవలసిందిగా ప్రార్థిస్తున్నాను.
అది ఒట్టి మంత్రాలు చెప్తే లాభం లేదు, అది హవనం చేసి చూపిస్తాను, జ్యోతి. సో అది చేసి చూపిస్తాను నెక్స్ట్ టైం.
చాలా ధన్యవాదాలండి.
Thank you, Acharya. Thank you very much. Because I am staying in a gated community.
Earlier.
అవసరం లేకుండా చుట్టూ వాళ్ళు చేసే కర్మల వల్ల వచ్చే పొల్యూషన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది ఆచార్య. ఎందుకంటే
this Agnihotra process I have popularized in many places, even in Australia. I went there. Actually, here also there are a lot of people performing it. So there is an equipment, that particular copper pot is there, pyramid shape. Then the avupeda pedikalu, the cow dung cakes, dried cow dung cakes. Then karpuram, camphor, and then guggul. So these are the minimum requirements. Then we lit the fire. Then I will show you next time actual process. Today I think it's too late now, but exact time, sunset time, I can show you next time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dhanyawad, sir.
And will you show that, you please give that through the website, Acharya, through the WhatsApp group?
Please attend our webinars regularly.
Thank you very much. I am pursuing PhD. That's why sometimes I am coming today. Really, I am feeling fortunate because the scientific approach what sir has given is really.
You're registered for Sanskritam also, right?
Yes.
You're registered for Sanskritam class also, but you are not attending it.
Yes, Acharya, because of lack of time.
Yeah, correct. Visalashwi garu indaga meer cheppina శ్లోకం సంగరాహిత్య కర్మ. సంగరాహిత్య కర్మ అనేది దానికి నిదర్శనం, నిష్కామ కర్మ. సంగరాహిత్య కర్మే ఆ శ్లోకం యొక్క ఉద్దేశం ఉన్న ఉద్దేశం. With this, I just want to request one of Dr. Prabhu's son is there, Anish Chaukala. I just wanted to miss to mention about him. Anish ji, would you like to speak? He's son of Dr. Prabhu.
About what?
Anything you'd like to add here? You're from Australia, you're attending the class, the meeting. Very nice of you.
Yeah, actually, I call up my father after the class and give him feedback. I can talk about that if you want.
Yeah, you can share with us if you don't have any objection.
Yeah, okay. So there was mention about sadhana chatushtaya, which is definition for jnana. Yes. There is also in the Shastras about Vyuha Chatushtaya, which is about Vishnu's various levels of how Vishnu shows to his devotees. One is as Nalu Chaitanya Vishnu, Virat Swarupa Vishnu, Narayana Vishnu. So ఇవన్నీ చూస్తే ఏ దేవతనైనా ఈ త్రిమూర్తులు ఈ పెద్ద దేవతలు ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళ అసలైన స్వరూపం తెలుసుకోవడమే జ్ఞానం అని చెప్పచ్చు. సో ఇదొకటి అందాం అనుకున్నాను నేను. సాధన చతుష్టయ కూడా చాలా కష్టమవుతుంది అందరికి అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి, పాటించడానికి. అందుకే దైవీ సంపత్తే జ్ఞానం అని చెప్తారు, కానీ అందులో ఆసురి సంపత్ కూడా వస్తుంది. రెండు మాట్లాడాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంటుంది జ్ఞానం గురించి చెప్పాలంటే. ఇంకోటి యజ్ఞము గొప్పతనం చెప్పారు కదా, అందులో ఈ సైన్స్ ఇస్ రిడక్షనిస్ట్. సైన్స్ ఇస్ బేస్డ్ ఆన్ scientific method, research methodology, which is defined based on observation. First observation, So what you see is what is real, and you have to experiment. So what I see and what you see should be the same thing for it to be called science. And then similarly, there is whole methodology will follow. This is there in basic sciences like physics. It is also there in other sciences. Anything which is called science, except something like social science or political science, it is always based on observation. And yajna is not always based on observation, or what I see you cannot see, you cannot experiment, it's not reproducible. So you cannot state it as evidence in court, or you cannot use it as evidence in a scientific research methodology. So the way is, in Shastras, there are multiple ways of proving things other than observation. So you can observe yourself, for example. So why is yoga true? You can observe your mind. Does mind exist? Do you exist? So all these levels of proof are there in the Shastras. There was a discussion I was reading about pramana. Pramana is similar to observation and proof, but there is also Shastra built on pramata, observer, and also prameya, interaction between observation and observer. So in the Upanishads, we have several ideas of observer, observation, observed. Similarly, seer, seen, sight, hearer, heard, hearing. So idanta triputi. ఈ త్రిపుటి కాన్సెప్ట్ ఏదైతే ఉందో ఉపనిషత్స్ లో, అట్లాంటివి పెట్టి there is additional ways of proving things in the Shastras, which is not there in science. So science is materialistic, it is Nastika, it is similar to the Shunyavada of Buddhists, whereas Shastras are not all that. Shastras are not Nastika, they accept Devatas, and they are not materialistic. There is also Adhyatma level which is discussed, and Devatas level which is discussed. So we have to consider all these commonalities and differences between science and Shastra to prove something like yajna. And most of science is very closely related to how human behavior is there in Western countries, in the world, such as a lot of scientific advancement happened during World War II, such as the discovery of radar. And in India, it was not like that. It is more closer to nature approach to science. It is not, there is no problem of pollution, destruction of nature, all that coming up in Indian version of sciences. So what we know as science today, scientific method, is affected by other factors related to human development in Western countries. So such as warfare, and whole science is oriented towards making missiles or bombs and things like that. Whereas our science is oriented towards nature, living with nature, learning from nature, thinking of nature as para prakriti, as conscious nature. So when we say Maya in Advaita, it is similar to nature concept of science, except the nature of science is Jada Prakriti. It is matter. It is just, there's no consciousness in that matter, in that nature, which is being studied in science. But the subject of Advaita kind of Shastras is Chetana Prakriti, which is Maya, which is called Maya. So there are different levels of Prakriti also possible. Whereas only one particular level related to material existence is the subject of science. So there may not be commonalities also. Ante konnisarlu science shastram anachu, konnisarlu anlemu. So అది మనం అర్థం చేసుకుని ఆ కాంటెక్స్ట్ బట్టి ఈ ప్రూఫ్లు ఇవన్నీ చెప్పాలి. అండ్ ఎప్పుడైతే ఈ సాధన చతుష్టయ ఇట్లాంటి అడ్వాన్స్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ వస్తాయి ప్రమాత అబ్జర్వర్ గురించి, అప్పుడు ప్రూవ్ చేయడం ఈజ్ నాట్, ఇట్ ఈస్, దేర్ ఈస్ నో ప్రిసిడెంట్స్. ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ ఇట్ టు ఎనీబడి, టు అ సైంటిస్ట్, ఇప్పుడు మీరు అన్నారు ఈక్వల్ టు ఎంసీ స్క్వేర్ ఇస్ సేమ్ యాజ్ గీతాలో శ్లోకాస అని, కానీ అది ఒక లెవెల్లో సేమ్, మీరు ఇచ్చిన ఇంటర్ప్రిటేషన్ లో సేమ్, వేరే ఇంటర్ప్రిటేషన్స్ లో సేమ్ కాదు. అండ్ సైన్స్ వాళ్ళకి అది ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడానికి కుదరదు. ఎందుకంటే కాన్షియస్నెస్ యాంగిల్ ఇవంతా లేవు సైన్స్ లో ప్రస్తుతానికి. సో బ్రహ్మనే ప్రాణము, బ్రహ్మనే ఎనర్జీ అని ఒక ఇంటర్ప్రిటేషన్ అంతే. బ్రహ్మన్ అంటే ఏంటి, అసలు బ్రహ్మన్ అవసరం ఏంటి అన్నది సైన్స్ లో లేదు ప్రస్తుతానికి. సో మా శాస్త్రంలో ఉంది అని అంటే అందరు ఒప్పించాలంటే ఎట్లా, వాళ్ళకి అబ్జర్వేషన్, రిప్రొడ్యూసిబిలిటీ ఇవన్నీ ఉండాలి. సో మల్టిపుల్ ఇంటర్ప్రిటేషన్స్ ఇస్తున్నారు, అందులో కాంట్రడిక్షన్ లేకుండా చూసుకోవాలి మనం. ఒకళ్ళు చెప్పేదాన్ని ఇంకోళ్ళు ఖండించకుండా ఉంటే చాలు. సో వేదిక్ లెవెల్లో నా దృష్టిలో ఏం కాంట్రడిక్షన్ లేదంటే వేదానికి, ఉపనిషత్కి, శాస్త్రానికి, పురాణానికి వీటికి ఏం కాంట్రడిక్షన్స్ లేవు. ఆచార్యులు కూడా అట్లాంటివే తీశారు ఇంటర్ప్రిటేషన్స్. మనం కూడా అదే మైండ్ లో పెట్టుకుని వెళ్ళాలి.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very excellent overview of the whole thing. It's very nice of you, and we expect your participation in future also, and strengthen the hands of the Samiti and this webinar meetings qualities. Nice of you. Very nice of you.
Yeah,
we are proud
thank
of you. We are proud of you being the son of Dr. Prabhu, and we are lucky to have you here in our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, now this let us close. I thank you very much everybody for attending this seminar. We will close the Shanti Mantra and Janaganamana. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kachchit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, saha viryam karavavahi, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Satyaah Sukhino Bhavantu. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om. Now Janaganamana, then we will stop. Hari Om Janaganamana.